lines. I have not slept a wink. I was up all night.
I was looking at myself in the screen here. My face is like really puffy. I'm like, because I didn't
It's hard
sleep
finding
either.
silver linings. The one thing I did say is it's a good thing I didn't throw out all of these protest T-shirts. This one, I'm saying I'm sorry about our president in every language to the entire world. All my Not My President T-shirts, I saved everything, which is good. Once Trump blows up the world economy, I won't be able to afford new resistance T-shirts. So,
What's that?
oh my God, I'm feeling so fragile, Chris. We already talked. I had to come down before because it's just.
I saw you in your cozy earth pajamas.
Yes.
Yes.
Another silver lining. Okay. We have Malcolm Nance has written another amazing piece. I got no quit in me. I got to say that's the only thing about. Well, I've got no place else to go. Although I may be in Electric Lesbian Zoo, but I will try to broadcast.
I ain't gonna quit. I got nowhere else to go.
I will be broadcasting from whatever, detention camp I'm in. I actually did talk to my best friend who in Australia, who does have room, but
she also has a spectacular rack.
Yes. But we're going to have her on the show, Dr. Wanda, because we're going to need some major psychotherapy as a country for a while. This is, let yourself cry, let yourself rage. It is. We are all shocked. Obviously, obviously the polls wrong again. And as Joy Reid just said, and David Axelrod said it too. Clearly, there's so many things to talk about, but clearly racism and misogyny, you can't. Did we have, David Axelrod real quick?
Let's be honest about this, okay? Let's be absolutely blunt about it. There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country, and anybody who thinks that did not in any way impact on the outcome of this race is wrong.
So, beyond that, Chris, as we were saying, this is one of the other things that certainly has been in our craw for 11 billion years. It's misinformation and disinformation, and they have a whole ecosystem. Sure. And all the sound bites we laugh at, the good liars, like, well, look at these morons, these maggots, of what they believe. Yep. They believe anything he says. Yep. They are fully in a cult. He ran on a solid wall of lies, and they believe him. They believe he's the victim of every prosecution, every crime in every jurisdiction. They believe it's all a witch hunt because he said so. It's all. It is extraordinary. It's not even. I don't feel like it's a cult anymore. It's like mass psychosis or something. It is mass hypnosis, whatever you want to call it.
Same thing happened in Germany.
But they have a lot bigger. This is why, we are so great. I know Wanda was like, you're mama, you're their pastor now. Because trust me, I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I feel like bursting into tears. I'm scared, just like everybody is. But we got to fight. This is our country. When he said last night, oh, this is your country now. No, it's all of our country. He meant, just you, white people, maggots.
Still, fully half the country did not vote for him.
Thank you. And we are still here, and we still have to fight.
We are not a small minority here.
So there's so many the factors. Obviously, we were saying, Chris, before the show. I think just unfairly, the Biden administration, which included Harris, got blamed for quote unquote the economy, which is and again. Those of us that deal in facts are like, are you kidding me? Right. By every objective
the statistic
show. Trump is the one that wrecked the economy, and Biden saved it.
Right.
And you're just like, what? And as we were saying, inflation is back to the same rate as before the pandemic.
The inflation rate is, but prices,
honestly,
really never came back down.
Not by. Right. And guess who's the only one that put forth a plan for that? Kamala Harris, for greedflation and corporate price gouging and all of that stuff that we all feel.
And Trump said, only I can save you from that. And so people believed him.
I know. It's... So anyway, part of what I was saying is just they also look at Russia. Don't you feel like we're in a waking nightmare? We're in a recurring waking nightmare. We're in the sequel to a horror film where Russia helped again, except this time they had all these willing traitors on the right. All these same people I'm talking about that put out this disinformation. The right wingers, right? The Tim Pools and even the Joe Rogan. All of that stuff. It's just anti-vax conspiracy theories, nonsense. It's in many cases piped to them by Russia. How about yesterday? How many bomb threats were there? Russia was behind in Democratic leading. You don't know how many of those voters didn't. This is why I always said you need to vote early, because you didn't know what was going to happen on election day. You did not get hit by a bus and you voted.
I did.
But in a lot of...
I avoided every single bus.
This makes me insane every time I look at all these lines. They're like, oh, look at these lines. Like, it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. I don't understand why anybody, honestly, Chris, I don't understand why anybody does that. Mail in your ballot or vote early. Why? I hate waiting in line. Why wait in line if you don't have to? These poor, I mean, again... all of these areas where the Russians had bomb threats, it served its purpose. It probably scared enough people in democratic areas away from the polls. And again, it's not one factor. I'm not blaming just that.
But
yeah, I think it's,
factors
and in some ways, we do this every 4 years. We're idiots. We just go, oh, well, I don't like the status quo. I don't know. Things are expensive. Let's go with something. And then we go back and forth. In 2 years, guess what? The Senate map leans toward us, so we could take the Senate back. In 4 years, he's going to be a disaster again. In 28, he can't run again unless we're in full-on dictatorship. Anyway, so
I was telling you this morning, I was talking with a friend of mine, and he brought up the Carter analogy. Carter was blamed for the sky-high prices, and then Ronald Reagan came by and said, I will fix it.
Yeah.
And that's how he got it. I think the same thing happened here.
I just talked to Gray Davis at the Kamala Harris event here, remember? And I said, Enron, you got blamed for that, and that was bull. Yeah. And he said to me, that was bull. But again, part of it is what we always talk about, Chris. We got to learn to fight like alpha liberals. I mean, my friend asked me, why didn't we expand the Supreme Court? We better learn how to use every tool in the toolbox because they don't play fair.
I've been saying that for a really long time, that we really need to alpha liberal this stuff.
Right. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, but no, idea. Just the status quo and the economy, and it's not fair. And listen, who was it? Oh, our friend John Pavlovitz said, sadly, it seems like having Biden stay in the race would have been the only way to have given us a President Harris, misogyny and racism for the win. And I don't know if you remember I said that, Chris, on the air, because you remember I was one of the people saying I didn't think Biden should get out. I said, because I'm aware fully of the misogyny and the racism, and I thought, I think the only way we get right now a black female president is I thought Biden would get reelected, and at some point, if his choosing stepped down and appoint her, I thought she'd do a great job. America could get used to it. The black lady president, ooh, boogity boogity. But I know what you were going to say. I don't know that Biden wouldn't want to either. It was the same crosswinds. It was the same crosswinds and the economy, and then the whole and the mainstream media. The mainstream media didn't help. They jumped on his. Yep, granted he had a bad debate, but they basically pushed him out because the pressure became so intense on him, on the Democratic Party.
At least there was a lot of excitement behind Kamala. Yeah. I don't think there was that same kind of excitement behind Biden. There wasn't an excitement in the Democratic Party until Kamala.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Somebody was like, "Oh, she should have separated herself more from Biden." Well, he has a historically successful
what could she do?
Administration. What is she supposed to do?
She was a part of his administration. So
to
talk bad about your boss in front of the world.
Yeah. And she was a loyalist, and that's a good quality.
Sure. Trump is requiring loyalists.
Not like that. No. Anyway, so it's just, I guess I get that I was saying that, Lawrence O'Donnell, who kind of knows a thing or two about political history, that's what he said. That's what he said back when. He said, historically, this would be suicidal to replace a candidate this late. And that's the other thing, is she had the shortest runway. I know we all thought, like, oh, this is great. It's a much shorter campaign. Not enough for the American people to find out what issues are really resonating, to get to know her, all of that stuff. It's it's like he's the devil they know, I guess.
He is.
And they have some like they've been struck in the head that things were better. I don't know, bacon was cheaper or something. It's but anyway, it's just everything. It's all of it. It's the mainstream media. It's the information ecosystem we live in. It is. But it was profoundly depressing.
Stuff like Joe Rogan. I saw so many people say that they voted for Trump because Joe Rogan endorsed him. I saw so many people say that in line yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like...
And now Bobby Kennedy's going to be in charge of health, and we're going to all die of bird flu. So we have that to look forward to. Okay. Am I going to be like Suzanne Plachette, getting my eyeball pecked out?
Pecked out.
Or are there actual birds in bird flu, or are they just pass it?
Well,
See,
Are there pigs,
at some point
we will discover swine flu?
We will discover our humor and our humanity again.
So we're laughing already. Come on.
About me getting my eyeball pecked out from bird flu?
It's funny.
Because crazy Bobby Kennedy's in charge?
Well, because Suzanne Plachette. That's why.
Oh, God. What was I saying? Oh. Oh, yes, the dude, bro, crazy. And that, like we've been saying, too, it's just how many people have become crazy conspiracy theorists because of this weird disinformation ecosystem that's been created. What's happening? Is there bad news on your phone? What's going on?
No, it's okay.
Can there be any worse news? What else could happen?
I don't know.
Could be worse. Could be raining. Okay. Where was I?
Do you want a break?
Oh, no, it just, make it make sense to me. His share of the Hispanic vote is what moved the needle in some places. The guy that started with Mexicans, all Mexicans are rapists, and ended with Puerto Ricans are garbage.
I think that comes down to the economy, too.
Right, and that's the other thing, is I keep saying no one is for illegal immigration. They're saying, people that are here legally don't like it either. Nobody likes it. We could have fixed it. But he's the one that killed the bill, and now he's going to go, look, I fixed it. He's going to pass the exact same bill and go, look, see, I fixed it. Oh.
That's what he promised to do.
Everybody wants to fix it. Everybody's been wanting to fix our broken immigration system forever. This bill would have gone a long way toward that, which is, anyway. I'm sputtering now.
Oh.
All right.
Do you want a break?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can take some calls.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You could talk people down.
Let's be honest about it.
It makes no sense, right? The whole, like, in the places where, access to abortion won, they still voted for Trump and for the senator that's going to enact a national abortion ban. Make it make sense to me. Like I'm 5.
Abortion won in more states than lost.
Right. And then in the same states they voted for Trump, who will enact a national abortion ban. I can't. Okay.
Lauren Boebert won, too. Someone asked me on Threads this morning, did Lauren Boebert win? And I had to look it up, and I'm like, oh.
She is willing to reach across the aisle to create jobs, if you know what I mean. Okay. That's the only way we're going to... By the way, can I just say, this is yesterday when I thought it was over.
Oh, boy.
Matt retweeted one of his troths yesterday, and he said, I'm really going to miss Trump's fireside chats that never failed to comfort and reassure a weary nation. His all caps, did you see his all caps?
I did.
I was not performing oral sex on my mic, folks. I was pretending to eat a corn dog while waiting for the totally incompetent crew to fix my mic. This is pure election interference, fake news. Yeah, remember how it was rigged and they were stealing it yesterday, and then that just magically, and then not anymore? Yeah. Okay.
But we're not going to call that because we believe in free and fair
election. Next president of the United States said that about oral sex on his microphone.
He was eating a corn dog. Right. I don't think he's ever eaten a corn dog in his life. I would love a corn dog right now.
Let's pause. All right, we're gonna open up the phone lines. We have our regular Bob Seska, Malcolm Nance, Carlos Alzraki. Malcolm Nance has written an amazing call to action.
And Rude Pundit is also going to call.
Yes. Anyone that wants to call and vent. America has a full craw. I'm your craw emptier. 20 minutes.
Are you taking on?
You live in Philly or you live in Washington, D.C., and you've got police forces that can't keep cops on the force right now. And over the past 3-4 years, crime has been everywhere in those cities. That also has an impact. You know, it's so interesting what he said about Bob Casey saying about your John Wayne. Mm-hmm. It's a John Wayne state. Mm-hmm. I know you've heard me tell this story before, but 30 years ago, in 1994, my first day knocking on doors, I knocked on 50 doors. I came home. My parents said, "How was it, Joey?" I said, "Well, I learned that you're either on the side of John Wayne or you're on the side of Jane Fonda." I said that to him. I said, it is that split, and you see it the second you knock on the door. And I will tell you, that was 30 years ago, and that is still the cultural rift that pulls at Americans.
Understood, and you have to, within that, figure out how to win. And I think there's a lot of very legitimate discussion here about how Democrats lost this. Yep. But I just got a text from a member of Congress saying, something else we need to look at is how people are turning to social media, podcasts, and other non-traditional sources for their news, and also news stations that aren't news. And I canvassed in all of the battlegrounds. I was shocked by the amount of misinformation voters were truly repeating back to me. Truly shocked. I do believe this is what caused the collapse of the Democrats nationwide. You cannot win when people believe lies.
But I
think that's fair, too.
Rev, let's talk about, you talked about gender and race. Let's talk about race. Donald Trump fared very well with Hispanic voters, especially Hispanic men. The numbers are coming in still a little early, but I think he did better with black men than was expected in the past. What do you think pushed that, especially with the Hispanic voters going for Donald Trump as much as they did, because that made a big difference?
I think that a lot of it was he was able to sell a lot of Hispanic voters that immigration was a threat to them, that some of the people coming across the border was a threat to them. I think that we've got to be honest, among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny. And I think that we've got to deal with the reality that he appealed to this whole false macho thing that some black men and some Latino men went for. I think that we cannot sit around just bedwetting. We've got to deal with the reality, and we've got to deal with the situation as it is in our own communities.
Well,
the most Hal Sparks you will ever see. Hal Sparks. Anywhere in your general vicinity, please share the show out. Send some likes and some loves and some. It's the cheapest, freest thing you can do to support the show. And you can also subscribe to the podcast, Hal Sparks Podcast, Mega Worldwide. I think the phrase is wherever you get your podcasts, which, quite frankly, is none of my business. I'm not gonna peek at you through the bushes while you're getting your podcasts on. I'm just not gonna do it. Even if I had a podcast called Peeking Through the Bushes, I wouldn't do it. But especially not now, you maniacs, you beloveds. Don't forget to Hal Sparks your way, Hal Sparks through this as you Hal Sparks while you're Hal Sparksing.
For a new theme song. Okay, is it really where you are? Okay, I'm sorry.
You have tons of people who want to talk to you. You don't need to.
I know. So the exit polling, real quick. Economy, not the top issue. So here's the thing: like everyone doing their Monday morning quarterbacking. Sure. Preserving democracy edged it out. But here's what I mean about the disinformation system, Chris, is he's convinced his people we're the threat to democracy based on Nothing. Right? Based on that it's, that he's being persecuted, that he's the victim. That, it's I don't know, all the craziness. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden are prosecuting him on all of these state, local, amazing multitude of crimes. 35% said democracy mattered most to their vote. It went, again, both ways, right? A lot of us, it mattered to us.
Sure.
Yeah. 31% said the economy, abortion was only 14%, immigration only 11%.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Patrice in Oakland. Hey, Patrice.
Good morning. This is a real sad day in America. I'm a black woman voter, and I was talking to a bunch of black women in a forum this morning.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a minute before black women is on the front lines fighting for America.
Yeah, listen, we're all Patrice. We're all winded. I mean, women voted for Trump. Hispanic people that got called, rapists and garbage voted for him. Yeah. I mean, it's and trust me, the fact that women. Somebody tweeted, Patrice. They said, I know that some men hate women. I didn't realize that some women hate women. I mean, they're. It's just.
It is that, but it's just. America showed, as a black woman, America showed me what they really think of me, and it's a lot of us are upset by this, but we're going to see American carnage, and unfortunately.
And by the way, I don't blame you because she ran a flawless campaign. She was a fantastic candidate, and he is literally the worst human on the planet.
He's garbage
and a criminal. And so you're right. I mean, how can you not say this was racism and misogyny? Is certainly is a large part of it. So I'm sorry we let you down again, black ladies. I hear you. Patrice.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. It's just that it's hurtful. But,
I know. You know what?
Hakeem Jeffries, he's going to be. I think they got the House. If I'm not mistaken, the Democrats have the House, right?
Not yet. But still hopeful. Hang in there. Have a cry. Dust yourself off. Bob Seska next.
Chris Matthews, you were sitting in your home state of Pennsylvania this morning, a state won by Donald Trump, not as close as some predicted it would be. Kamala Harris didn't do what she needed to do, even in those suburbs of Philadelphia that are so decisive in these elections. What's your morning after assessment of what happened?
Well, several months ago, maybe a year ago, I began to study the 50 counties in the middle, the ones that James Carville calls Alabama and Pennsylvania, between Pittsburgh and Philly. And in every one of those counties, it seems that the Trump vote between 16 and 20 had gone up into the 70s. And now and I assumed it was going to continue in that progression. The red states, the red counties were going to get redder and redder. And therefore, he was going to do better in those areas and maybe enough to overcome the suburbs. And he did. He did. And I think that's it. And it's all about immigration and the economy. But immigration has been a terrible decision for Democrats. I don't know who they think they were playing to when they let millions of people come cruising through the border at their own will. Because of their own decisions, they came running through that border, and they didn't do a thing about it. And a lot of people are very angry about that. Working people especially, they feel that they've been betrayed. They feel that their country has been given away, and they don't like it. And I don't know who liked it. The Hispanics apparently didn't like it. They want the law enforced. And so I'm not sure they were playing to anything that was smart here in terms of an open border. And that's what it is, an open border. And I think it's a bad decision. I hope they learn from it. The economy, I think you can talk all you want about rates of inflation going down. What people do is they remember what the price of something was, whether it's gas or anything or cream cheese or anything else, and they'll say, I can remember when it was $2, now it's $7. And They remember in the last 5 years. That's how people think. Democrats don't know how people think anymore. They think about their country, and they think about the cost of things. And the working people figure, well, all these college kids, all the ones who went to elite universities, all looking down on us. Besides all this, we're getting condescension and the deplorables and all that stuff. And they felt it, and they voted that way.
Dear Ma and Pa MAGA, Donald Trump didn't lower your taxes. He didn't get your roads fixed or your bridges built. He didn't get you health care coverage, didn't lower the price of your prescriptions, decrease the deficit and the opioid crisis, revive the coal industry. He didn't make COVID disappear, didn't make Mexico pay for the wall, didn't put America first, and he sure as hell didn't drain the swamp. So when you say he fought for you, you mean he validated your hate, because he didn't do a goddamn thing for you other than that. He hates who you hate. And sadly, that's all you think you need.
I think it was on Morning Joe, and it had to do, I think maybe about Ukraine. I don't remember, but it was something, it was, I said, wow, she's really got charisma, and she's really well-spoken and really just she's a real political athlete. She's just, I was really impressed with her. And I remember thinking she'd beat the crap out of Trump.
Yeah.
And I tweeted that in 2019, and I just retweeted it the other day. I called it 5 years ago. And I think the thing about her is, and I was reading something that Joan Walsh wrote yesterday. I think, she has been inconsistent as people perceived her. She's been criticized. She's been, and during her first couple of years of VP, she didn't have necessarily her best moments during the 2020 primary campaign.
Yeah.
And somebody quoted in this Joan Walsh piece basically said, well, now, she realizes she has to just be who she is.
Brat.
And brat. Yes, brat. And that's, that kind of authenticity. And I'm saying that is an amazing contrast with J.D. Vance, just to illustrate it. There is an authenticity about her when she gets into her happy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cackling, it's great, but that's like, she's a human being. She's real. And I think I think that is going to, I think that is going to ultimately put the final, it's going to bury Trump.
Yeah.
Because Trump has only one.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
Are we on Free Speech TV, or did they take us off the air already?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Hi, Bob. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Stephanie. Not a great morning. I don't know why I said that. Just a random pleasantry.
Yeah.
To start the conversation. It's not a great morning. This is absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
The first thing that occurred to me this morning, I went to bed. We went to bed at about midnight last night.
I didn't sleep at all. I was up all night. I couldn't. Every time I tried to, shut the TV off, I just, It was
a terrible night's sleep. It was one of those things where stress just ends up shutting you down. I don't know why. It was one of those weird biologically.
I was having chest pain. I was literally oh, when will I know if it's ER time? Yeah, no, it was, and Bob, as we were saying about the polling, here we go again. The polls were wrong. This, gold standard pollster in Iowa, the people that you and I have trusted. I want to get your take on that, on what you think. Because were people even more embarrassed this time to admit they were voting for Trump now that he's a felon and a rapist? Or I don't know what it is, why the polls once again were so off.
Yeah, it boggles the mind. I've been following the polls, much to the chagrin of the listeners of my show, and I've been closely watching how things have been going, watching the trend lines, watching the aggregators who accumulate all the polls and then churn them through their meat grinder and then comes out the other side with some sort of prediction. And one of the things I noticed was a huge lead for Kamala Harris coming out of that September debate.
Yeah.
And what I thought was
she crushed him. Yeah,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
We're not a normal universe anymore, Bob.
There's something about the way the news is delivered in this country.
Yes.
We've talked about the political press and the worst year for the political press that I've ever observed. And obviously what we're seeing now, I think, are some of the ramifications of that. I'm not going to leave this exclusively at the feet of the political press. They're not exclusively to be blamed in this.
Right.
But I think they were part of this, sane washing Donald Trump. And then the fact that so many people were able to just move on from that debate performance. You saw the numbers, looking at 538, for example, and their chart. You saw the numbers begin to slip back toward Donald Trump. It's this theory that I have that's so immensely frustrating, but it kind of describes what we've all witnessed, which is that it seems like we just have to constantly pump the air into a tire that has a hole in it, because otherwise, if we stop, it deflates.
They normalized him so long ago. It's just a numbness. I mean, I was talking to my best friend last night. I was like, oh, someone in Australia, they're up, because no one was up East or West Coast, only me. But, she was saying it's also just been a rejection of experts. I mean, how many times on your show and my show have we said, oh my God, every military expert that worked with him, every general, every psychiatrist, every economist. And it just, I think at some point, it really was just a big you vote. They don't care about expertise. It's like, F you. We only believe what Donald Trump says. We don't.
Yes.
We don't care what. Oh, you're all establishment and corrupt and whatever Trump tells them. You're all fake news. All the people sending these air raid siren warnings, right?
It's the often discussed cultural rot that we face in this country. People who have lost respect for political institutions, who allow things like hate and selfishness to rule their democratic decisions, their small d democratic decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what I think maybe is the centerpiece of this election, that, experts be damned, the warnings be damned.
Yeah.
We're going with hate and selfishness. Hate in terms of we hate women, and we especially hate women of color. Yeah. And then selfishness insofar as, well, the prices and bacon and things and that was, the economic concern that's coming out of the exit polls.
Bob, you're right. I talked to my friend about this in the middle of the night. It's his selfishness has become half the country's selfishness now. That's right. I heard, was it Michael Steele talking about student debt relief? People don't want that because, they worked hard and they don't want to pay off your debt. It's like they don't have a sense that we live in a society, and that would help society and help, help the economy, help kids be able to get on their feet, buy a house, maybe all of that stuff. We always say on this show, none of us have kids. We pay taxes, so your kids can go to school because we live in a society. But they've sort of. But you're absolutely right. It's the whole student debt. I don't want to pay. And what was the other thing? Oh, I don't want. Somebody said, I don't know. Oh, Joe Scarborough was back to screaming his right wing. For the 85% of the country doesn't want trans people to play sports. Because it plays into their grievance and and it's like, what tiny percentage of people are even affected by that? But it's like, it's not fair to my kid. But it's just, he really does. He plays into all of their grievances. Even like other brown people, like you were saying, the Hispanic vote. You're like, he doesn't mean me. He's not going to deport me. He's talking about other people, right?
Yeah. Even though in that process, there will be so many Latino citizens who will be caught up in the dragnet because they have similar names or the same names, or they appear similarly. We've seen this with profiling throughout the history of racial profiling, where the wrong people end up getting swept up in the undertow.
Yeah.
And this is a situation, Stephanie, where I think a lot of people decided with immense naivete that, okay, well, if things go haywire, we can hold Donald Trump accountable. The levers of government will continue to function. He'll be done in 4 years, and that'll be fine, and we'll get it out of our system, and that'll be it. I don't know what kind of justifications are happening, but they're all rationalizations that have no place.
Wasn't the gaslighting
in our current politics
complete when he came out last night? It was like, now we can begin the healing. I was like, what? And uniting. I'm like, he just called Nancy Pelosi a bitch and Kamala Harris trash.
Yeah.
And vice president. It was the entire campaign of name calling. And you're going to lead the healing and the unity. Since when?
And after all the things that we've witnessed for so many years now, 10 years now, people are still believing what he says about healing or about kids going to school and getting gender reassignment surgeries at their local public school, for God's sake. And people believe that. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard from friends and family members and so forth on social media and elsewhere. Is that true what he said? Is that?
And it didn't.
Well, of course, it's not true.
It didn't start now. People believed that Hillary Clinton was running a child sex ring in a pizza parlor basement.
Yeah.
Which I think again, and it's only gotten worse. I mean, you tweeted, Bobby Kennedy said, "I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me." And you said, "Way to take responsibility for your grifter slide into kooky bro fascism." I mean, what a disgrace and what a bunch of freaks on that. What a Star Wars bar scene last night. Oh my God. There's, wife beater Dana White getting up to speak. Corey Lewandowski, who's also assaulted a female reporter. There's Roger Stone, fresh out of prison from whenever. Stephen Miller, baby Goebbels. Who else was up there? I mean, oh my God.
It's, I don't want to lay the blame at any kind of entertainment, but there's a thing that's happened in the last 25 years, and this is not the centerpiece of the problem, but it's maybe something that's helped desensitize a lot of people. We've seen in the last 25 years a rise of the anti-hero in our pop culture, the rise of the reality show villain, who's always the more entertaining character on the reality show. Just pick your random Real Housewives series and you'll see that exemplified.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a certain strain of Americanism right now, American perception of right and wrong that says, well, if it's entertaining, it's fine. If it's, as long as we're, not bored with what's going on, that's okay. And that's permissible. And it's absolutely not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I think the fallout of this, I can't even begin to contemplate the ramifications of this predicament that we find ourselves in once again.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a lawless president now. We're talking about a guy who's going to come in with immunity granted from the Supreme Court. If people think the guardrails are
Joe
going
Biden ought to do something with that fancy
like
immunity for the next 3 months, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So we're trying here to find some sort of path forward so we can exist as people who follow this for a living and love the United States, love America. One of the things that has occurred to me, and I'm all over the place, and I apologize, but I think Chris can attest to this. There is this new rising kind of bro culture in this country that I think has driven. And I think Joe Rogan is an avatar for that.
I was just going to bring that up, Bob, quickly, if I can just jump in. This is what I was just going to say, because you were just at Sexy Liberal Saturday night. That's the thing that drives me crazy, is always it's a backlash against, woke and being politically correct. Have you ever seen a Sexy Liberal show? Do you think that seems woke and prissy and politically correct? It's outrageous. It's dirty sometimes. It's nobody, what do we always say? We're too liberal for conservatives and too politically incorrect for liberals. We're theoretically a show that appeals to no one. But, we have a sense of humor on our side. We just don't punch down. We just don't, punch gay people and brown people and trans kids,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking about this with Mark Hamill, in fact, backstage. We were talking about the anti-woke comics that have arisen in the last 5-10 years. And how toxic they are, making comedy, hack comedy.
I guess people are all in for Madison Square Garden. What happened? We thought, normal, decent people would be repulsed, but I guess people were like, "Yay for that!"
Yeah, it's baffling when we started to see the returns come in, and Kornacki was doing his thing. That was every time he would appear on screen,
he was giving me a stroke.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of Kornacki, like way too much Kornacki last night.
Yeah.
And I think the political press in this country needs to be more aware of what they're doing and the ramifications of what they're doing and how it affects the psychology of those of us who rely on them for factual information.
And by the way, stop with the diners again. Why don't you do some self-reflection on how the mainstream media helped us get here and normalize him and sane wash him, as you said, Bob. I mean, here's another example. Just yesterday, in his final campaign rally, he said 100% of the jobs that were created by Kamala Harris in the past year went to migrants, not to people. First of all, migrants, not people, obviously. He said 100% of the net jobs created in the last year have gone to migrants. Think of that. 100%. And the crowd booed. Because they believe him.
Right. And we imagine that this is only poison that's going into the minds of his disciples, but it's actually, it seeps out to everyone. It's like I'm sure there are normal people who aren't part of the MAGA movement who are like, is that true? 100% of the jobs went to migrants? Is that real? Oh my God, I can't believe that.
Only a media like we have and a disinformation system like we have, which is deliberate, Fox News and these right-wing douche bros, whatever they're called. Do you know what I mean? Could we get where we are today? And so, do some self-reflection. Don't just say, here's what the Democratic Party needs to do. We all need to self-reflect on what happened yesterday. But,
What we really need to do is figure out how to combat this. We can't just sit here and complain about it. We have to figure out how to fight this.
This is the other thing he said. He said, these are depression-type numbers, and then we're heading into if she's elected. If she's elected, we're talking about a 1929-style depression. He's the one that wrecked the economy and lost more jobs than Herbert Hoover. I mean, it's like he ran on nothing but lies. And I'm just saying we have an ecosystem that amplifies it and allows it. Fox News and the right-wingers parrot his lies, and the rest of the media both sides it and same washes it, right?
That's absolutely right. And we have a few months here in the remaining time with Joe Biden as president of the United States. And I hope whatever guardrails can be reinforced between now and January are reinforced. I hope that everything turns out well with the House to at least block any sort of legislative roadmap for Donald Trump. However, he's going to act as an autocrat. He's going to be an authoritarian. He doesn't need Congress to do some of his worst things. He just won't be able to, at least legally, repeal anything.
And everybody has an opinion. I mean, there's obviously people that are feel the worst is going to happen. And I don't know if you happened to see Lawrence O'Donnell last night, but there's a lot of things he doesn't think he's going to do or be able to do. So let's hope so.
Yeah. Well, our friend John Fugelsang has the same outlook as far as Donald Trump being an incompetent person who, even though he promised to do a lot of things last time around, he was unable to do those things for whatever reason.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little different because there's not the same people surrounding him.
He didn't think he would do a national abortion ban because even they can see the numbers on all these. Because even the ones where it didn't pass, it got 58%. It's like, it didn't get to the 60%, but that's the majority of people. And so
Florida, unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a whole can of worms down there going on.
I know. I know.
Yeah. It's remarkable knowing the success of 2022 in reaction to the Dobbs decision. I thought that would carry over this year, and it clearly has not. It wasn't enough at least.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We've
got women bleeding out, and still women voted for Trump. It is just it's astounding. All right, kiss Kimberly for me, and for once I mean that in a sweet way, not in a.
Oh, you mean it in a little bit of a dirty way too.
No, I don't have the energy to be sleazy this morning.
How about a little of both? I can handle the both.
I think you can.
I don't. When I don't even have enough energy to be slutty. It's a bad day for America.
See, we're laughing.
Yeah,
we're laughing, Stephanie.
I love you, Bob.
America has to laugh.
Yes.
Oh my God! You posted my favorite picture of us backstage at Sexy Liberal, by the way, with you and Chris's enormous friend. I said I looked like I was at Chippendales on Land of the Giants. I'm standing in between these two. All right, go to Bob's Instagram.
Yes.
All right, love you.
Okay.
Honey.
Thanks, Bob. Hang in there.
Bye, sweetie.
Okay.
50 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show brought to you by
Yes.
Charlie Pierce.
Charlie.
Good morning.
Hey, I am jingleless today.
Yeah.
Yes, we got to go right to the good stuff.
Yeah,
It's election day.
I just was wondering what former romantic partner Lauren Boebert is carrying a blowtorch for these days.
Oh, Charlie Louise Pierce.
Is she going to lose today?
I think she might.
No, I don't think so. I mean, she survived the primary, so I guess she's going to get elected.
Okay.
Oh God,
how
disgusting.
She district shopped.
Right. She moved to a different district.
Speaking of Project 2025, to Hakeem Jeffries' point, I want to ask you real quick because obviously Pennsylvania is, many union members in Pennsylvania are voting and campaigning for Vice President Harris in large part motivated by the quote, 900 pages of pure terror that makes them fear Donald Trump. And that is Project 2025, the lengthy playbook for a second Trump term. I feels like we've done a pretty good job getting the news out about Project 2025.
That I was about to say, for I don't pretend that all the people who are opposed to it have read all 900 pages.
Yeah.
But turning it into a bogeyman, they did a very, very good job of that.
Well, and also,
and that started before she was the candidate.
And he said this thing again yesterday. We just played it, right? He was talking about the new president of Mexico. He said he's going to about slap 25% tariff on Mexico in retaliation for border crossings. Then he said, if that doesn't work, I'll make it 50. If that doesn't work, I'll make it 75. I'll make it 100. Well, somebody explain tariffs to him that the American people pay them.
It's like explaining nuclear fission to a duck. I mean, it's just, you can do it, but it's not gonna stick.
I mean, you tweeted, he's telling the crowd that she had a rally today and couldn't have had 100 people there. The cult is eating it up with both hands. He's whining about how they don't show his massive crowds. I mean, every single thing he says is a lie. I mean,
I stayed up to watch the last rally as long as I could.
Yeah.
But after that, I just went to bed. Although I do have to admit, he appears to be entirely copper-plated now. He looks like the freaking Iron Giant.
Bob Seska said he looks like Mr. Bill now because he has his little mouth.
Yeah.
Like, there's no makeup around his mouth or his eyes, and he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, he looks like he fell asleep in the sun with a very weird mask on.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about him in Pennsylvania. You said talking about how parts of North Carolina never saw water like this before, and a Sir story about how he and Alon have brought the storm area so much Starlink. Moves on to lying about the economy. First of all, they had no electricity, so they couldn't have Starlink, and plus, he tricked them into they had to pay for it.
Well, not just that, but there's only one Starlink. You can't bring a whole bunch of Starlink.
Right.
Unless you're selling like interplanetary sausage.
Right.
He also said he helped them more than FEMA. We did such a good job. We saved so many lives. I'm like, is he just delusional? Does he know he's lying anymore, Charlie?
Yeah, he was personally down there flying a helicopter, which unfortunately crashed with Willie Brown in it.
My God.
Hey, before I know my time is limited, but I just want to say, I was so proud of you guys Saturday night.
Aww. Thank you, Charlie.
You guys, I was so proud to be a Mook.
You were, and you were fantastic.
I'll tell you what, Fugelsang and Hal Sparks, they better up their game if they're getting on the stage with Adam Schiff again.
I know. I said that to Senator Schiff. Is it time? Is he senator yet? Probably any second now.
Probably, yeah.
But I said it's not fair. You're funnier than all the professional comedians. He was hilarious.
Yeah, for a pencil neck and a watermelon head, he was very, very funny.
Yeah, we can call him Senator enemy
Senator
from within now.
Yes.
Right. Tanya wrote, "Hey, Steph, I had a great time at the D.C. Sexy Liberal meet and group. Can't wait for January at Kamala's inauguration. Sexy Liberal ticket bought, flights booked from Oklahoma. My good friend Lauren Virginia's loaning me her couch. I'll see y'all there. That's the big finale. Hopefully Charlie will be there. If you'll excuse me, I violated the Seska and Toby rule. I must go outside and turn around 3 times and spit. Also, I should probably pop these balloons I have ready. Your biggest fan in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Yeah, you better run. I can't wait for that because then I will get to throw Stephanie at another political celebrity.
Exactly. So one last tweet of yours, you said John Allen of MSNBC just said that he considers women who are voting on the issue of abortion to be an unknown factor in this election. You said, dude, have you been in a monastery in Tibet since 2020?
Got home barely okay. Just completely bewildered. And my cat is not feeling well. He hates when I leave, and so I feel I have to get him to the vet. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. I mean, and Guys, I'm terrified, and it is the media. A friend of mine just sent me a text. In 2020, 81 million Democrats voted, and 74 million Republicans. In 2024, 66 million Democrats and 71 million. There was a drop in Republican votes and a huge drop in Democratic votes. Yeah. Where did 15 million Democratic votes go? There's something just seems so off about this. I'm sorry.
I know. We're going to be grappling with this for a while. We've got Malcolm Nance coming up.
Pretty important to them and my daughters. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about that. I didn't think that I was going to do that. But, just their bodies, their choice type of a mentality. I want them to grow up in a world that's welcoming to everybody. That's why I cast my vote today.
Thank you, Michigan voter Jason. We're going to need you. We're going to need all of you. The work begins anew. I know we're going to take a second to cry and rage into that dark night. And look who's here to do that with us. It's Rude Pundit.
No jingles today.
No jingles.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Honestly, this has a 2004 feel as much as it has a 2016 feel.
Yeah.
Because 2004 is when George W. Bush, who had lost the popular vote, won the popular vote. And it just was like, this is who the F are we? This is who we are? Oh, my God.
Like we said, it's not about who he is anymore. It's about who we are. And this was profoundly depressing for a lot of us, Rude. And I think the difference on our side is we do deal in facts and truth. And you can't spin this. We can't. If this were the right, they would go, oh, cheating, you rigged, cheating, start the coup part 2 and all of that stuff. But we're, looking at it and saying, wow. Like, I'm sure everybody has their, clearly there's misogyny and racism and mainstream media. I got off the Merrick Garland train a long time ago. I mean, there was a lot of, and it doesn't fall at one person's feet or one, but man, this is why, Joe Biden is right. Merrick Garland was not the right choice. So many people could have stopped this, including Mitch McConnell.
I think you need to. I think that one thing that people need to take into consideration is that I think the biggest thing that happened is so many people are effing stupid. They are just dumb. How dumb do you have to be to vote for putting abortion rights into your Constitution and then voting? You said it earlier, and voting for the person that is going to take away.
It just took that right away from you, and we'll take it away nationally.
Or voted for in Missouri, voted for a hike in the minimum wage for people who don't support, and then voted for people who don't support raising the minimum wage. I mean, at some point, it's just you're stupid. You're just an idiot, and that we have tens of millions of stupid people in this country who may be actually stupid or have been rendered stupid by their stupid media.
We are full on in the idiocracy. I mean, we have elected President Camacho. It is drink up your Brondo, because and we were saying, Rude, it's the stuff like we laughed at from Good Liars, like, oh, look at these MAGA morons, look at the stuff they believe, ha ha ha. And but you're right, today it's not funny, is it? It's like it's gotten 2016 sex ring in the pizza parlor times 11 billion now.
Trump is just going to declare some things that use either the Comstock Act or the Alien Enemies Act in order to do things that are based on pure fiction. We're going to contort ourselves around lies, and that's
Elon Musk is going to be in charge of what now? Cutting the government in half, something ridiculous, like say bye to your Social Security and Medicare,
Doge.
huh?
Department of Government Efficiency, which the initials are Doge. Remember Doge? Yeah. Yep.
Isn't he putting Herschel Walker in charge of something defense shields? Yeah. I mean, it's like it is a waking nightmare, isn't it, Rude? You're just like, when you woke up, you're just like, did I dream this? Is the sequel really this horrible, and it is.
On CNN, I think Marco Rubio was asked, would you vote for RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services? And Marco Rubio said, well, we have a president that has an unprecedented mandate from the people. So I think we're going to have to give him a lot of leeway. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do that. I mean, he's going to because he's Marco Rubio.
Right.
But it's like, no. And if we hold the House, then maybe there's a chance of stemming some of this.
Yeah. And the Senate map goes our way in 2 years. It is hard this morning, I will give you but you're right. Listen, I got no quit in me. I'm sorry. It's, we can't. This is our country too. I'm not going to, I get the whole, I'm just going to move out of I'm not moving out of the country. This is my country too. And we have to, because otherwise, unless, you're going to roll up and die. I'm not.
Italy's a nice choice, and they. No, they have a fascist government right now.
Right, exactly. Italy?
Yeah.
No.
I know. But you know what's funny though? In all these fascist governments, they still have national health care.
That's true.
It's just at least the fascists there know that they need to take care of people.
I think even Hungary has national health care.
Yeah, no, they all do. They all do. Hungary actually has a very good national health care system, from what I understand.
And a strong man.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just feel like at this point we are a nation that we've never accepted that we're a nation that's founded on racism, genocide, sexism and misogyny to a large extent, and it's in our DNA. And we've never done anything to try to fully get it out of our DNA. And I think that's why things like this keep happening. And
listen, Halloween should have been, a sign that Donald Trump has created America where it's okay. Not only does someone do a Halloween display in a parade lynching Kamala Harris, someone okayed that. Someone else okayed dragging a Kamala Harris character by chains behind the golf cart or whatever. And someone said that's okay. And so now we're surprised that, the first black woman president was not to be. Despite running, I think, an amazing campaign.
And it's going to be over the stupidest issues too that we find out. We're going to find out that it was trans athletes, that was a major factor for a lot of voters. They went into that booth and thought, I don't want trans women swimming with cis women. It's like
something that affects 0.00001% of the population.
Exactly. That the trans stuff was, Karl Rove's, gay marriage things that were on the ballot in 2004 that helped George W. Bush win re-election.
Yeah.
I
just feel like it is not that like woke or PC to just go. Don't be to people that are different than you. Is that so radical and woke and? It's just but what he ran on. No, it's okay to be a D to anyone that's not like you. That was his entire campaign.
Right. And you know what? That's the thing that a lot of people like. That's something we have to accept, that a lot of people just want to hurt other people, and they want to hurt them badly. And they want to elect people who are going to hurt them. And that's who we're dealing with. And unless we reckon with that, we'll never progress past this.
Yes.
There's so many factors, Rudin. Chris and I have been on this for 11 billion years. Not only do we have to fight more like alpha liberals, you need to fund progressive media. So, you know what I mean? Like it is only because of our listeners that we are here in this little tiny ecosystem. We can't compete against the Fox Newses and the 600 conservative radio stations that all the right wingers are on, and all of So it's thank God, because we're going to need this town hall, not just me, this whole ecosystem more than ever to get out real information. But we need help. And we got to start to fight like they do.
Like all of these streaming systems that you see, like Pluto TV and and Zumo and all of that, they have 5 or 6 conservative stations on there. They only have like 1 or 2 liberal stations.
Yeah.
We need more infrastructure.
Yeah.
And funding for it.
No, and the sole reason, again, is because our audience, God bless them, has gotten it. They get it.
Exactly.
For 20 years. They support our sponsors, our Patreon, our, And it's like what you say. We're a little speck in
Right.
this ecosystem of disinformation that we have got to start fighting back. We cannot just lay down and die. I mean, seriously, I'm hoping people, because I swear to God, we probably all had thoughts of whatever. I'm sure we've all had thoughts of suicide, whatever. You get hopeless. We cannot lay down and die. We have to get up and fight. I mean, it's just.
I'd move to Italy before I.
All right, stop talking about moving to Italy. You're staying here.
They have a fascist government.
I know, but they also have delicious wine.
We have wine here. It's California.
And tasty pasta.
I know. But, here's the other thing that's on my mind is that there's certainly a large. There's part of me that's like, I'm an older white male, and therefore, there's a lot of things that I will be immune from.
Yeah.
But I'm also a university professor, a liberal university professor, and they're coming for education. And that's something that worries me as national laws that ban the teaching of certain ideas.
No, and I said to Chris, I'm like, are we still going to have a career? Because,
right, exactly, exactly.
I mean, not only Trump government, whatever that is, but, I got one letter, Chris, we talked about this before the show, people going, I have to tune out of politics now, I can't.
Yeah.
You can't. We have got to find our humor again, our humanity, our fight. And I get it that maybe that's not today for you, but that's my other fear, is that people just go, I've given up hope now, and it's all is lost. And again, this show has always survived on humor, and we've been on, how many times have we been on defense, Chris?
A lot of times.
We've been on offense and on defense. People are like, what are you going to make fun of now that George Bush your show's going to go away? And you know what? We had to go on defense because they were racist douchebags about Obama.
Yep.
Then, so
Right.
I mean,
the only other thing I'll just add this, that for all professors and all teachers, that you've got a lot of kids that are LGBTQ.
Yep.
You've got a lot of students that are. I've got a lot of DACA students. Kids that are DACA students, and I've got a lot of students that are Muslim from Arab countries, including a number of Palestinians, and they are going to be out of their minds scared. And you as a teacher,
imagine waking up in Ukraine this morning. I mean,
but I'm just saying, for teachers, be ready for that, and be ready for your students, and be ready for that to cause a shift in their behavior, and you're going to have a bunch of kids that are worried that their parents are going to be deported. Parents that might have come here undocumented and then had kids that are American.
Yeah,
they're going to be. I mean, it's going to be just the mental crisis that is going to come from all of this.
That's why we're going to need each other more than ever, Rude. However we all, handle this grief and rage and everything we're going to be feeling, we're going to need each other more than ever. We're going to need to be kind to each other. We're going to need to learn how to fight better, differently, whatever. I mean, we have to. We are not going to go silently into that dark night.
No, and I'll do it with a delicious bowl of pasta.
Stop it with the Italy thing. All right, I love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Scruffy Hobo.
Good luck to you, Scruffy Hobo. All right. 19 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show brought. Hey, looky, we had a cub reporter on the ground.
Yeah, we do.
Carl Frisch.
Hey, Carl.
Reporting in from.
Good morning.
Are you in Virginia?
I am in Woodbridge, Virginia, which is Northern Virginia.
Yep.
And I'm here helping Eugene Vindman keep this congressional seat.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice. You were so fantastic at Sexy Liberal. It was so great to see you.
It was so much fun. I gave Trump a lot of garbage for dancing for 30 minutes to Pavarotti's Ave Maria and other great hits. But there's something to be said for it. It's kind of soothing.
Yeah.
To stand up there and just sway.
That was your idea. You and Bob Seska and Jody Hamilton came out to Ave Maria and just wandered aimlessly for a while. It was hilarious.
Yeah. You haven't lived until you've entered to Ave Maria.
Exactly. Carl, how you feeling? What's the haps? How you feeling on the ground there?
Well, things look good here in Northern Virginia. And, we've got 2 red to blue congressional districts in Virginia this cycle. I'm here helping Vindman in Virginia 7th. And I think it looks really good here. It's going to be closed. But I was at a canvas launch this morning with Abigail Spanberger, the next governor of Virginia. And a lot of really excited people to get their turf to go knock on the last doors they can before this election is over. Got up bright and early to get out here and make it happen. And there are a lot of people doing it. Everybody I know is out doing something. And so if you're sitting at home right now thinking that ship has sailed for you, it has not sailed for you. Call your local Democratic headquarters and have them put you to work.
Yeah, I mean, and just ask anybody, do you need a ride to the polls? Do you need babysitting? Do you need, whatever it is? Oh, by the way, we should tell people what the freebies are today.
Yes.
Uber, Lyft rides, Krispy Kreme donuts.
Uh-huh.
This is made close to bribery, but I don't know. You get an I voted sticker, and some companies are offering perks. More than 2,000 companies.
$1 million in blue check marks on Twitter.
There's that. Yeah.
And more than 2,000 companies are part of Time to Vote initiative, which agrees to ensure their employees are able to vote with their work schedules. Some companies offering freebies to those who take the time to cast their ballot.
Yep.
That's one of the things we have to fix, Carl. This really should be a holiday. It should be a national holiday. I mean, I appreciate the companies that are doing this, but it just, Republicans just don't want a lot of people to vote because they don't win when they do. And so it just, but the fact that most people can't afford to take off work, they can't afford childcare, they can't, we were talking about, we never wait here because we're not in a voter suppression state. But I remember watching in Ohio the year they took, voting machines out of minority districts, and they were waiting in the rain 10, 11 hours.
Yeah. And the news was covering it like it was a great thing to see such huge lines.
Yeah.
Just really disappointing. And, I'll tell you here in Fairfax, in Fairfax County, where I represent, more than 150 of our schools are used as polling places, and we close our schools for the day.
Yeah.
So that we can help power the democracy that we're trying to protect here. We do need a national holiday, but we also need to make it easier. When you talk to the far right about election integrity, they talk on and on about keeping these people from voting and those people from voting, but they never tell you what they're going to do to make it easier for people who are legally eligible to vote to cast their votes. Never tell you, because they don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So let's see. Make sure to check local restaurants, bars. Bars maybe doing some business today. If my anxiety's any rule. And businesses for any election day promotions. If you click on the Go Vote tile in the Uber app, they're offering riders 50% off on trips to polling places. Uber Eats offering 25% off on orders up to $15. Lyft's also offering the 50% discount for a ride to the polls. And this is the best one. Krispy Kreme is giving away donuts in honor of democracy. Donut humor. Okay. I mean, Carl, it always used to be for nerds like us an exciting day, but it really is just gut-wrenchingly terrifying today as well, isn't it?
It is. And, I usually, after I leave whatever election night party I'm at, 10 o'clock or so, I get home and I have more tabs opened on my browser for races all over the country to follow the results than my computer is even happy about.
Fight the power.
Chris, who said a lot of talk about massive cheating in Philadelphia, law enforcement coming. Said that.
Don Jr.
No, that was a good guess, though. No, that would be Trump yesterday.
Oh. Okay.
That was yesterday. So I'm sure he's going to contest the results of Pennsylvania that he won, right? Because clearly...
Of course.
Yeah. Suddenly not rigged. Huh. Weird how that happens. Hi, Howard in Chicago. Hello. Howard, hello.
Howard.
No. Howard's not there, man. Okay. Mom's in Florida. Hey, Moms.
Hi, Mama.
Hi.
How you doing, sweetie?
Not so good.
Oh, God. My father always taught me wish in one hand, poop in another, and see which one gets full first.
I love that.
Honestly, he used the S word, but, I know we're on the radio.
Sure.
Okay. but I'm sad for the friends that I now have to cover even more protection for my daughters, for my granddaughters. Today is the day I lick my wounds. But tomorrow, Mama, you mark my words. Tomorrow I come back 150% in the fight.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, we're going to need each other more than ever. We're going to need, it's going to be a national, we're going to have my friend Dr. Wanda on. We're going to have national psychotherapy, and then we're going to brush ourselves off, and we're going to fight. Yeah. We cannot lay down.
A blaze of glory, Mama. That's where I'm going.
All
and
right.
If they want to come for me, let them.
Yeah.
Take care.
She's being brave. I want to see you be brave. Can I just say, Bobby Kennedy, this is personal for me. That, oh my God, his whole family's legacy. Did you hear Trump last night? I told him, stay away from the oil.
Yeah.
Do you understand his entire life has been as an environmental lawyer? When I used to go on his show, I went to Waterkeeper's event out here for him because his main concern was the environment. All the people that have blown up every principle they ever had, right?
To get close to
get
Trump.
power.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane.
Kennedy Jr., he came in. And he's going to help make America healthy again.
Oh my God, by having us all die of polio.
And now he's a great guy, and he really means it. He wants to do some things, and we're going to let him go to it. I just said, but, Bobby, leave the oil to me. Bobby, stay away from the liquid gold. Other than that, go have a good time, Bobby.
Enjoy bird flu, everyone. Okay, is Farmer in Norfolk. Hello. Hi, Farmer.
Norfolk, how's it going, y'all?
Norfolk.
Uh-huh.
There you go, Chris.
Yep.
Everybody, remember what Richard Chu tells us every day. Take a deep breath.
Yep.
And make your life count. And I'm so proud of my Commonwealth today because we took all three.
We did.
Yes, sir. We took Tim Kaine, we took Bobby Scott, and we took the vice president.
Yeah. We got
so I'm not feeling bad.
two.
I put it all on the field.
We got two African American women in the Senate who are fantastic. I know it may not feel like the best consolation prize after
Mamacita, Mama.
Yeah.
Mama.
Yes.
And this goes out to Sue and Rockville. We will dance again.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
We
it doesn't.
will.
It is, Malcolm Nance wrote a great piece. He'll talk to us in just a few minutes, but it is going to feel like a death.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to cry, you're going to feel rage, you're going to feel loss, and then you gotta pick up and figure out how to carry on. So we will talk to Malcolm about that. He has new marching orders for us. 29 minutes after the hour. Malcolm Nance next.
As you were sitting in your home state of Pennsylvania this morning, a state won by Donald Trump, not as close as some predicted it would be. Kamala Harris didn't do what she needed to do, even in those suburbs of Philadelphia that are so decisive in these elections. What's your morning after assessment of what happened?
Well, several months ago, maybe a year ago, I began to study progression. The red states, the red counties were going to get redder and redder. And therefore, he was going to do better in those areas and maybe enough to overcome the suburbs. And he did. He did. And I think that's it. And it's all about immigration and the economy. But immigration has been a terrible decision for Democrats. I don't know who they think they were playing to when they let millions of people come cruising through the border at their own will. Because of their own decisions, they came running through that border, and they didn't do a thing about it. And a lot of people are very angry about that. Working people especially, they feel that they've been betrayed. They feel that their country has been given away, and they don't like it. And I don't know who liked it. The Hispanics apparently didn't like it. They want the law enforced. And so I'm not sure they were playing to anything that was smart here in terms of an open border. And that's what it is, an open border. And I think it's a bad decision. I hope they learn from it. The economy, I think you can talk all you want about rates of inflation going down. What people do is they remember what the price of something was, whether it's gas or anything or cream cheese or anything else, and they'll say, I can remember when it was $2, now it's $7. And they remember in the last 5 years. That's how people think. Democrats don't know how people think anymore. They think about their country, they think about the cost of things, And the working people figured, well, all these college kids, all the ones who went to elite universities, all looking down on us. Besides all this, we're getting condescension and the deplorables and all that stuff. And they felt it, and they voted that way.
Dear Ma and Pa MAGA, Donald Trump didn't lower your taxes. He didn't get your roads fixed or your bridges built. He didn't get you health care coverage, didn't lower the price of your prescriptions, decrease the deficit and the opioid crisis, revive the coal industry. He didn't make COVID disappear, didn't make Mexico pay for the wall, didn't put America first, and he sure as hell didn't drain the swamp. So when you say he fought for you, you mean he validated your hate, because he didn't do a goddamn thing for you other than that. He hates who you hate. And sadly, that's all you think you need.
Rev, let's talk about, you talked about gender and race. Let's talk about race. Donald Trump fared very well with Hispanic voters, especially Hispanic men. The numbers are coming in still a little early, but I think he did better with black men than was expected in the past. What do you think pushed that, especially with the Hispanic voters going for Donald Trump as much as they did? Because that made a big difference.
I think that a lot of it was he was able to sell a lot of Hispanic voters that immigration was a threat to them, that some of the people coming across the border was a threat to them. I think that we've got to be honest, among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny. And I think that we've got to deal with the reality that he appealed to this whole false macho thing that some black men and some Latino men went for. I think that we cannot sit around just bedwetting. We've got to deal with the reality, and we've got to deal with the situation as it is in our own communities.
Well,
But Malcolm Nance, as he does, has written an amazing. You must read this. A Trump victory, if so, break glass in case of emergency. MalcolmNance.substack.com. Malcolm, you'll forgive us if we're not jingly this morning.
Good.
Can I just read a little bit? You said the United States has voted for a dictatorship, and decisively. The Supreme Court will be lost for most of the century. Women will lose most of their reproductive rights and lives. White people happily voted to impose tyranny over all other races and creeds. So what can you do that doesn't involve good bourbon? Let's face it, America has fundamentally changed from what it was founded to be. It is now an autocracy ruled by the white tribe. Here's what I wrote a few weeks ago for that great break glass moment. Read it and weep, then get busy. We have work to do. This is exactly what I needed this morning, because, you and I, whatever our faults, we've got no quit in us. We love this country too. When Donald Trump said, it's, I'm giving you back your country. No, it's our country too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's our country, but let's put some things on the table here. First off, I know that people are already starting their analyzing and who's responsible and who's at fault and what can we do for the midterm. Just stop it. This ship is on fire and it's sinking. And until you realize that you have a madman at the helm. And the question is, what can you do to protect yourself, your friends, your followers, and your family? That's what you need to take care of right now. I wrote in that Substack piece there that, hey, the hard reality is you need to accept this now. You need to accept that the United States voted overwhelmingly for dictatorship. and it was boosted by white men, white women, and surprisingly Latino men.
Yeah.
Including people that know that their fellow citizens could be rounded up. I wrote a Substack about that before. The hallmarks of civil war could all start in the roundups of citizens on the street. So until you, go have a good cry, right? Get it out of your system. I was grieved like I'd lost my wife again.
Yeah.
But get it out of your system and start standing up and understanding you need to start taking steps together or you're all going to drown alone.
Yeah. I mean, you said some of you will feel the same as you felt in 2016. You'll feel shame and grief, but now at a collapse of understanding of how the Trump train hit you into the mix, your wits are torn asunder, your heart aches in a deep throbbing pain. You feel as if a close loved one has died. You will be correct. Benjamin Franklin's words now ring true. We were a republic if we could keep it. We did not, and it died today. So welcome to America, the tyranny. What is now dying is the American experiment itself and our Russian enemies. Trademark Malcolm Nance, right up till yesterday, phoning in bomb threats to minority area polling centers. You said, learned long ago and passed on to the right-wing extremist toadies was that the fastest way to kill democracy was to use democracy as the very knife to slit its throat. We do not have a president. We now have a king with all the powers King George had at the time of the American Revolution. I mean, we did this to ourselves, Malcolm, to your point.
We did. We did this to ourselves. And there's one thing that I want to absolve some people. Apparently, there were 18 million Democrats that didn't turn out, people that had voted before, that did not turn out at all. And I'm going to put it right on the table. Look, it's not even about a black woman. It's about a woman. Those numbers were almost the same as Hillary Clinton's numbers. Every time Steve Kornacki went to the big board and started doing an analysis of 2024, 2020, and 2016, Kamala Harris's numbers came out almost exactly close to Hillary Clinton's.
I mean,
the misogyny. Man, I'm sorry, just let me get this off of my chest.
Yeah.
We apparently hate women, and you've just froze into amber the loss of all women's rights. Your mother, your sisters, your daughters. You are not men. What you are is you want to rule and lord over them. Apparently, The Handmaid's Tale was a documentary and a template for you.
Yeah, I was going to say the most depressing tweet I read is stop telling your daughters that she can grow up to be president. She can't. And I hope we change that in my lifetime.
This is where they want their daughters. They want their daughters as baby incubators. And until these things happen to them, until there are rapes, until there are cases where their daughters die in large numbers, which, let's face it, these people voted for it to happen to their families. So how women are even having any relations with men is beyond me, all right? If I were a guy, I'd be looking out for sharp objects. Next time I've decided that I'm going to, be conjugal. Because, I'm sorry, you didn't just take away their rights. You have now relegated them to almost an Iranian-level second-class citizenship. But let's set that aside. Because, okay, we know you hate women. That's just on the table.
Yeah.
Now, the hatred of minorities, this nation is going to suffer. Okay, and it's going to suffer not just economically. That's going to smash everybody. Elon Musk.
Yeah, this was the nastiest, most misogynistic campaign. He ended by calling Nancy Pelosi a bitch. J.D. Vance called Kamala Harris garbage. I mean, it's...
No, this is the rise of bro culture.
Kamala Harris's concession speech will be at 6 p.m. Eastern time today.
Not watching it. Don't care.
You write, you most likely are feeling fear, trepidation, anxiety, burning pain in the middle of your gut that says things are going to get nasty. You are correct in those emotions as well. So I'll give you till the end of this article to feel all those things and then get on with the program. At the end, I want you to have a deep sobbing cry. Then I want you to stand up, get a hot beverage, commit yourself to not surrendering all that you presently feel. hold in your heart. Trust me, I'm a widower, and your psychological well-being demands it. Your family will look to you. Your friends will lean on you for the stalwartness you need to develop pronto. And as a sailor would, you wrote, it's easy to surrender in a storm, to pass under the waves and slowly die inside. It is easier not to engage, go into isolation, or try comprehending the crisis that befell us. I understand it. It just, this is so beautiful. I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind this, because I'm not reading this to you. I'm reading it to it, because a lot of people won't go read. However, one cannot name, must not surrender to the sweet, cold admission that it's hard to fight. It's hard to stand against outrages, insults, and arrogance, but those are your only choices on this day of days. You can surrender to an America that is dictatorial and fascistic and will grind into the day-to-day affairs of your life without any input from you, your friends, or your family. You can let other people dictate what your life will be. That's why it's called a dictatorship. This got me, even with the no sleep, fired up. You said, swear to yourself. Hang on, I need some music. Swear to yourself. You will not let this abomination abide without your voice of opposition, be it in an op-ed, Twitter responses, call into local radio shows, Facebook, whatever. Stay in this forum with me. Stay in this fight with me and Malcolm. Swear to make your voice heard, because suppressing your voice is next up after suppressing your vote. You must stand up, even when afraid. Say what you mean and feel. Right now you feel a miasma of grief and pain, but learn to stand up and say what you mean. Tell everyone what you think is right, honorable, and true before it is illegal. Malcolm, sorely needed this morning. Thank you.
Let me give you some instructions here.
Okay.
Here are the two phrases I want to hear out of everyone's mouth. I don't want to hear nothing, no discussion, no analysis, which is how they won. They speak in stupid, simple frames. And here's some phrases you need to learn. Here's one. How dare you speak to me about democracy and patriotism? The phrase, how dare you, had better lead every discussion you have. And the next phrase you need to say is, you voted and asked for this, and you're getting it. Right?
Malcolm, the main thing
narrative.
People said they voted on was democracy. But, he's gaslit them enough to go, we're the ones that were going to kill democracy, because he's the victim of witch hunts and whatever and political persecution and blah, blah, blah. I mean, this disinformation is complete now. Russia now has all these willing traitors here that will parrot whatever disinformation they...
Oh, a lot of people are going to die over this. People will lose their lives, not just women in the United States. They are going to round up people on the highways, the roads, at Walmart, maybe even stop you, ask you for your papers. You don't think this is going to happen? It's planned. Project 2025 will spring to life this week. Okay? Latinos, they will come and round up people who are illegal, and maybe you are illegal. Arabs and Muslims who voted against this because of Gaza. Gaza is finished because of this.
Yep.
If you voted against Kamala Harris over Gaza, you've sentenced them to death. They have no guardrails now. And definitely, you've sentenced the American democracy to death.
Think around the world. Think about waking up in Ukraine this morning, right? I mean, he has made them just as selfish as he is. It's like, oh, screw them. I don't want to give any money to other countries. The whole idea of democracy has been demolished.
Everything we fought for since World War II, since landing on Norway, has just been spat on. And it's been redefined, their treason, as patriotism. All right? I have a hard time shutting up. But you know what? I know how to speak to these people now. These guys came and attacked me all morning. Shut up. Respect the vote. No. Right? Foxtrot uniform, Foxtrot uniform, Foxtrot uniform. We go into the fight and we fight. We stop mealy-mouthing and discussing this. And until we get some Democratic leadership that will stop discussing it and fight on their terms and show spine, we will all suffer.
I have my I'm sorry about our president T-shirt in every language to the rest of the world. President Zelensky congratulated Trump on his impressive election victory and expressed hope his election would bring just peace in Ukraine closer. Oh, boy. He said, I appreciate President Trump's commitment to peace through strength approach in global affairs. This is exactly the principle that can practically bring just peace in Ukraine closer. I hopeful we will put it into action together. Well, what else is he going to say? But what we know Trump is going to do is whatever Putin says to do.
That's diplomatic speaking. What he's going to do is he's going to cut off all aid to Ukraine. But let me tell you something. Ukraine ain't got nothing but fight in them. okay? They will throw rocks. My soldiers are on the line right now, and they may never get another small donation from Americans because America's terrified right now of doing anything other than sitting. Here's what I recommend you do. Sit back, have a nice cool or hot drink, let the system crash, because that's what's happening. They voted for it. We need to be prepared as a unit, as a democratic body, to support our representatives, support our immediate families, support our immediate neighbors.
Yeah.
Right? But let me tell you something. The worst day hasn't come yet. That's January 20th, 2025. And that's the day I want you to look inside you and start committing yourself to saving American democracy. It will crash this time.
Yeah.
There won't be any soft landing.
Let me read the end of your piece. Right now, your MAGA neighbors will likely view you as a foreign enemy to be intimidated, detained, or destroyed. Be sure the next 4 years will be a time of turmoil, economic hardship, possibly civil unrest. Before you can follow instructions on navigating it, though, you must first organize, get your lifeboats back together, tie your fortunes to each other, move with a purpose in opposition to the storm threatening to scuttle your hopes, dreams, and families. Today is the day to let go of the mourning and make the American experiment work again. Have a good cry, spin on your heel, get a coffee, and let's go. I needed you desperately this morning.
I didn't sleep. You didn't sleep.
I didn't sleep at all.
I spent all night writing that thing, or not writing it, rewriting it, because I wrote it 2 weeks ago thinking, what if? And here it is.
Yeah.
What if? My next one's going to be an organization manual. Because you know what? I don't think Indivisible has enough fight in them.
Yeah.
So we need to organize.
And we're going to need our humor.
Ourselves.
Yeah, and we're going to need our humor and our heart and our empathy more than ever for each other.
That's one of the things we should be saying to everything that befalls MAGA. But let me tell you one last thing, Steph. They're going to pardon everybody from January 6th. They are going to come after people. Look, I'm on Russia's arrest list and Russian army kill list. And I've all along been on Donald Trump's enemies list since I wrote 4 books about him. There is nothing you can intimidate me with, except the only thing I'm bereaved about is the loss of my nation as a democracy. And if that doesn't motivate you to be the Maquis, right, to play the Marseillaise and reform the resistance like we had before, then you're just going along with their program. Not being active means you are part of their system now.
Yep, absolutely.
We resist it at all points.
We've got our order, Senior Chief. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, love you, sweetheart. Take care of yourself. Everybody, take care of yourself. 49 minutes after.
Hi, I'm Matt Gaetz, former congressman and distinguished statesman. Can you believe the deep state totally canceled me just because I'm a patriot who likes to party? Does that suck ass or what? This is my new podcast, and you haters can laugh all you want because I allegedly brought a somewhat underage chick across state lines. But guess what that means? I get to do my time in a federal pen, not a state pen, because those are like totally ghetto. So I'm doing this podcast because the accusations against me are the greatest miscarriage of justice since a bunch of Black Lives Matter thugs attacked our Capitol on January 6th, disguised as white Trump supporters. So a lot of haters want to talk about how my dad bought me my seat in Congress, or how I got busted with a DUI driving my dad's BMW, or how I wore a gas mask in the House, or how I falsely claimed that Obamacare caused the opioid crisis, or how I voted against the Equality Act, or how I was the only person in Congress to vote against the Sex Trafficking Act, blah, blah, blah. As Mr. Trump said many times, you only hate me because I'm so Christian, you punk ass. But they also say I'm a racist because I brought a Holocaust denier to the State of the Union address. Okay, let's address that. Number one, I did not bring a Holocaust denier. I brought a Holocaust skeptic. And that's like a totally different thing. Stop calling me a bigot. It's totally gay. Okay, let's do some fan mail. Dear Matt, you're awesome, bro. MAGA, how is prison? Signed, Jill. Dear Jill, thanks for writing. You did not enclose a photograph in your letter, which indicates to me that you are, at best, a 6. But I'll answer your letter anyway. Prison sucky, okay? When I came here, they wouldn't let me bring my own pomade into the jail. So I have to buy some homemade prison pomade from the Aryan gang, and those guys won't even tell me what's in it. I mean, it works. It's sticky. The worst part is that for some reason President Trump hasn't responded to any of my phone calls or letters or emails. So I've started this new GoFundMe. It's Tell Donald Trump that Matt Gaetz is in jail and it totally sucks and he needs help at GoFundMe.com. Please tell Mr. Trump that I really need his help. I know he has my number. And so does Don Jr. And so does Eric. And so does Laura. And that douche Jared. Mr. Trump, please get me out of here. I know you can help me. Don't you remember all those good times we had? All those awesome photos I showed you on my phone on Air Force One? Gates with a Z. You remember? I'm the guy you kept thinking was your son, Barron? Please. Anyway, I gotta go. Subscribe and give us a good review. And I want to thank Jim Jordan for always standing by me. Thank you, Jim. I knew you would never look the other way. And I also want to thank God and shit. Peace out, bitches.
Leanna writes, you guys are acting just so perky and funny and cute and like nothing bad has happened at all and the country isn't doomed. Do you not understand how much he hates you? Marriage equality is over. Back in the closet you go. How dare you? Are you doing this so he doesn't come and kill you?
Oh my God. Yeah, I've been such a Trump suck up, haven't I? My God. I'm aware I'm going to the Electric Lesbian Zoo, but seriously, if you can't keep your sense of humor,
exactly. And
you'll die.
Don't leave. Stay and fight, for God's sakes. Don't cower in a corner.
Yeah. I know. I am just as depressed and angry.
Sure.
I haven't slept as everybody else, but it is okay. It's a lot of heartbreak. Sherrod Brown lost. Dear God.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Cruz won.
Yep.
Josh Hawley. The only, as I was saying, the Angela also Brooks and Lisa Blunt. So we have two black female members of the Senate. You know what? It's a start. But can I just say, the guy that beat Sherrod Brown, a luxury car dealer, he's the one that said, like, the whole, why do postmenopausal women care about women's bodily rights? It's just, it's insane. And I was looking, John Tester lost. The guy running against him, GOP Senate candidate, used $160 million meant for local job creation to pay off his investors.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're all the same now, this party.
They're all crooks.
Let's do one. Dan in Atlanta real quick. Hello, Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
Good, go ahead.
I'm going to make it quick here. So, you know, what's getting my goat here especially is that one, that all of a sudden, all these MAGA and Republicans are going to be like, oh, what a wonderful economy we have now. And look at the stock market, how it jumped. It's all because it's all Trump. Right?
Yeah.
Just like he did when he won in 2016. They all thought, oh, the economy's terrible. And then as soon as he won, oh, the economy's great now.
Oh, yeah. Did you notice, by the way, Chris, last night he's America's great. We're the greatest country in the world. Really? Yesterday we were a garbage can. Remember? Yesterday we were a whole garbage can hellscape.
That's his sales technique.
We're great. We're the greatest country in the world. I'm like, oh, really? Now we are. 58 minutes after the hour. Coffee with Carl.
So I had a few people reach out, so I figured I'd jump on here and just let everybody know that was me driving President Trump's garbage truck. There's me with Vivek right there, but I gotta say, it was an honor and a privilege to drive Garbage Force One. President Trump is just a normal, everyday guy. He hopped in, no problem. He looked at me, he said, give me one of these right here, and we don't have one of these, we have one of those. So I honked a couple times, and he laughed. He said, how about we take this bad boy through McDonald's? And I said, sir, I don't think she'll fit in the drive-thru. He said, it's all right, I used to work there. And he turned to me and he said something, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. He said, this is really sticking it to Joe Biden. I said, yes, sir, it is. So, Joe, consider this a message to you, because you called us garbage. And in order to prove that we aren't garbage, we got a truck that hauls garbage. Now, does that sound like something garbage would do? Would be to drive around in a truck that hauls garbage? I don't think so. You made a mistake, Joe. You can't call a group of people garbage unless it's meant to be funny. And in that case, those people need to stop being so soft. Maybe get a sense of humor. But if you call me garbage, that's offensive. And you should consider what it's like for people's feelings to hear that. You might as well call me Oscar the Grouch, because you done pissed me off, Joe. And if being a patriot is what they're calling garbage these days, then yeah, I am garbage. Because I'm going to show up to the polls wearing a garbage bag to show you what us white trash can do. And they're going to rename Election Day Garbage Day. Because we're going to be taking out the trash, which is you. Even though I'll be the one wearing the garbage bag.
And I think it was on Morning Joe, and it had to do, I think maybe about Ukraine. I don't remember, but it was something, I said, wow, she's really got charisma, and she's really well-spoken and really just she's a real political athlete. She's just, I was really impressed with her. And I remember thinking, she beat the crap out of Trump.
Yeah.
And I tweeted that in 2019, and I just retweeted it the other day. I called it 5 years ago. And I think the thing about her is, and I was reading something that Joan Walsh wrote yesterday. I think, she has been inconsistent as people perceived her. She's been criticized. She's been, and during her first couple of years of VP, she didn't have necessarily her best moments during the 2020 primary campaign.
Yeah.
And somebody quoted in this Joan Walsh piece basically said, well, now, she realizes she has to just be who she is.
Brat.
And brat. Yes, brat. And that's, that kind of authenticity. And I'm saying, that is an amazing contrast with JD Vance, just to illustrate it. There is an authenticity about her when she gets into her happy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cackling, it's great, but that's like, she's a human being. She's real. And
Yeah.
I think I think that is going to, I think that is going to ultimately put the final, it's going to bury Trump, because Trump has only one mode, which is just grievance and attack.
Mm-hmm.
It is exhausting. It is exhausting.
But she's super triggering to him, right? Like, she's got to be super triggering to him.
She's refreshing, and he is exhausting, and she's going to trigger him.
Yeah.
And he's saying crazy stuff even more than he was saying last week.
The laugh thing too.
He was back to Hannibal Lecter again. So why does he keep going back to Hannibal Lecter? I can't even figure out what the point is to Hannibal Lecter. There was speculation the other day. It was that he thinks that an insane asylum and political asylum are somehow related because they both have the words asylum in them.
Yeah.
And not therefore, that's why he thinks of, I cannot figure out for the life of me what the point he's making with having Hannibal Lecter over for dinner.
Yeah, but you know better than anybody. The weird thing that he does, he said that first in the Jersey speech he gave down in Wildwood, where he was 10 bazillion people were there, right? That was so you could see.
Yeah, there were like 4,000 people there, and he said there were 107,000.
But he said it that first time, and what he does so often is when something gets attention, he said Hannibal Lecter, he said Hannibal Lecter. Every speech, every time. Oh no, I'm going to say Hannibal Lecter,
and people go
Lecter.
Right. No, that's the thing, is he has no actual sense of humor, because he's to actually have a sense of, to have a really refined sense of humor. These, you see these comedians like Kimmel and all these people on television. They're the smartest people you see on television.
Yeah,
they really are, because they have this way of putting things together and seeing ironies that other people can't see, and that takes not only great intelligence, but a great sense of empathy and a great sense of an understanding of the human mind and soul. He has none of that as a sociopath, which is why he doesn't actually understand humor, which is why he's not really funny, which is why you never ever actually see him laugh the way Kamala Harris does, for example.
Right.
He doesn't have a sense of humor. What he knows is he knows how to insult people. He knows how to attack people and mock people, but not because it's not necessarily in a funny way, because it lacks any subtlety or irony, but he thinks that's what humor is.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's more like a power play. He doesn't, and then when he sees people laugh, he doesn't know why they're laughing. He really doesn't, unless he's insulting somebody and mocking somebody and putting somebody down.
Are narcissists insecure? Because that's where people get.
Yes.
People say to me, how can they be insecure and full of themselves at the same time? And then, so how is that possible?
It is, but that's the essence of narcissism. Okay. Narcissism is when somebody, it's caused by basically just deep insecurity that somebody either is, born with maybe, or just develops as a young child. And they deep down fear that they are not good enough. They fear failure. They fear that people are mocking them and making fun of them. And they overcompensate by being, by demeaning people, by trying to exercise control over them, by being, doing all the things that we see narcissists do. And that's why they're very, very sensitive to criticism. And in Trump's case, I mean, there have been books written about this. There's a great book written by Dr. Justin Frank, a Harvard-trained psychiatrist here in Washington, D.C. And then there's this amazing book by Mary Trump, who actually saw all this firsthand, where basically it was because he had an abusive father who was sociopathic. And that was part of, and he had a mother who was very remote. Yeah. And that combination leads him to, he's a 5-year-old still.
Yeah, throwing rocks at babies.
He's a child. He's like, and it's all about him. It's all about, he never learned how to be an adult and how to be a human being.
And then there's trauma from when he was very young that said he just stuck. He's just stuck there.
Yeah, and I think he was wired a certain way too. I mean, there's a description of him, of a neighbor remembers him when he was like 5 or 6 years old, throwing rocks at a toddler's playpen in a neighbor's yard. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Trump tells a story about him he assaulted a teacher once, and he got sent to military school because his father found, a set of knives, not kitchen knives, but weapons in his bedroom. That's why his father sent him to the New York, that New York school, whatever the military school. Yeah, no, I mean, he was never, as I say in these ads, he was never right in the head.
The first thing I said to Lonnie this morning is, Jody's not going to quit, is she?
I have a gray tuxie cat on my lap right now, and the other one over there, and
you're grabbing yourself. You're grabbing yourself by the see. Okay, all right. Well, good.
I'm literally grabbing myself by the, and
Jody, you know what? The circular firing plot has started. We were saying somebody on MSNBC's like, she blames Democrats for pushing Biden out. It's like we can blame the media for being part of that, for the double standard. The both sides do it, know. But I mean, Chris and I were saying, I don't know what you think. I feel like Biden might have suffered the same fate of this just sort of, I don't know what this is we're dealing with, a cult, a mass psychosis.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
What do you think? What were you feeling last night?
When I woke up this morning, because Lonnie was like, turn the TV off. So I did. And then I woke up to this thing.
Right.
I was going to say a word that we cannot have on FCC.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was shaking when I got up this morning.
Yeah.
And terrified. Yeah. And it was just frightening. And I'm still crying.
I know. I know. Oh, honey.
I'm the other chick that cries.
Oh, now you're going to make me cry. And I'm already the chick that cries on the radio.
Sorry.
I'm grateful that Kamala's speech isn't until tonight. Because do you remember the last time Hillary's speech was during the show and I cried for 3 hours straight?
Yeah.
So, oh man.
I do remember that. I literally just emailed my friend Chesney, who hugged me when Hillary was doing that. He goes, I'm sorry, why is America so effed up?
I think it's the misogyny, isn't it? Because now it's Hillary on top of Roe on top of Kamala. It just, to be a woman this morning, Jody,
is misogyny and racism.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think it's just this disinformation bubble, like we were saying, that they live in a fact-free environment. They believe anything Donald Trump says about, the economy, inflation, with the opposite of what the facts, show. And so, like I was saying, I don't know if Biden, on top of the bad debate, would have suffered the same fate because they blamed the whole administration, I guess, for everything. Whatever the bacon's too expensive or whatever it is you're mad about, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but I think that it was the misogyny and the racism.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. We got to take a second and cry, I think, and then Malcolm.
I've been crying all morning since 3 a.m., so.
I couldn't sleep. The orange clown ate me. Let's bring Carlos in. We're not jingly this morning.
Yeah. Hey, Carlos.
But hey, Carlos.
No, God, no.
No. Yeah,
Carlos.
Right, hi, guys.
I tweeted
Carlos.
several things
Bye,
this morning.
Everybody.
Okay, thanks, Jody.
Bye, Jody.
Oh, all right, honey. Okay.
Love you guys.
Love you. Love you.
Up on herself.
Carlos, one of the things, because a lot of us are saying, oh my God, the Latino vote, obviously, tipped this in certain states. And we're like, this is the guy that opened his campaign saying all Mexicans are rapists and closed it saying Puerto Ricans are garbage. And I get what you're saying, that, it's not a monolith, that Latinos are not a monolith. You know what reminds me of, Chris, when I phone banked, I called one guy, Carlos, that I called, his name was Jesus. And he said, I'm voting for Trump. And I'm like, oh, do you know a lot about Kamala Harris? And he's like, I don't want to know anything, and hung up on me. And like you said, is it machismo? Is it machismo? Is it,
Trump also insulted half the white population, right?
Women.
You support these. So we're not a monolith. Tex-Mex is not the same as California Mexican, and Cuban is not the Puerto Rican, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think finger pointing really does anything. I don't think there's any Democratic candidate. I posted this. There's no coexist deity that was going to win this election against such oligarchs and billions of dollars and money. And that's just the case. Unfortunately, there's just too much money on the other side. If you see the last ads while I was watching football or sports or whatever were like 4-1 Trump. They just outspent. And Kamala, any Democratic candidate was going to be caught in a bind, right? I got to please Israel. I got to please Palestinians. I got to please Ukrainians. I got to invest in the country. It was just an impossible task. And
Carlos,
I don't think that has anything to do with running a campaign or Latinos or one specific group.
They were saying that where is it? Most Latinos still vote Democratic, but the results suggested as a bloc, this fast-growing segment of the electorate, now about 20% of the population, is continuing to slowly shift to the right. Tuesday's results suggest many Latinos share Trump's concern about illegal immigration, despite the racist rhetoric he's used. I mean, first of all, I don't know whether people think, oh, he's not talking about me. He's talking about, other Latinos. But I mean, as I said at the opening of the show, Carlos, none of us is for illegal immigration. No one's for that. That's why we wanted to do this bill to fix it. Trump killed it. Now he'll do that same bill and go, see, I fixed it. I mean, it's...
Yeah. But anyway. It was dangerous. They had never before had a bipartisan support for this, and this is why I think even Lindsey Graham or one of the Republicans was afraid that, you're never going to get this. You're never going to get Democrats to come on board with this. You should sign it. But I agree, maybe you could argue that there's some sort of machismo that appeals to the Latinos because this is a Joe Rogan-y kind of male toxicity. Yeah. I think there's some of that plays into it, but I don't even think of a quote-unquote a male Democratic candidate that was perfect was going to win this election. I just think that Putin helped,
they were saying we do this every
helped.
4 years. It's throw the bums out. Oh, inflation. I don't like prices. I don't feel like the economy's good. Let's try something.
Weird because I argued that restaurants were full. As Colin Cowherd brilliantly put it, restaurants were full, amusement parks were full, planes were full. People were going on vacation.
It's by every
black jobs were up.
By every metric. The best economy in the world
was up. Yeah. And inflation all over the world was high. We were doing better than, I think, all of the developed countries in the world. So, there's an expectation. This goes along with what I've always been saying. People expect to get everything they want, and the Republicans know that. And they divided it, and they conquered. It was very insidious the way they ran this campaign with the two wars happening, right, with Ukraine. If you support Ukraine, do you have enough money to support Israel? If you support Israel, are you anti-Palestinian? There's just no way you could juggle all that with everybody expecting to get what they want.
And once again, the polls for wrong. I mean, renowned pollster Ann Selzer, this is the Des Moines Register. She's the gold standard there, says she's obviously going to be reviewing her data. Trump, because remember, she had Kamala up by, what was it, 3, 5, 3.5 point, whatever. It was outside the margin of error. Trump won Iowa by 14 points. I mean, the last national poll that came out had Kamala up by 5. A lot of the swing states had her up slightly, So I think part of this, Carlos, is the shock, that we just literally, I think many people did not see this coming, at all, because this...
You know what? It kind of sounds like the Republicans did, based upon their last couple of weeks of campaign, when he says, you don't have to vote anymore, and then calling anybody anything he wanted. It kind of means a conspiracy. Kind of feels like they knew they were going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go ahead and do Nazi stuff out in the open.
In a normal universe,
we can say what we want now,
Yeah, in a normal universe, Carlos, you go, this is the worst campaign ever. They've surgically alienated every single segment of the population.
There was nothing on policy. It was all about fear.
Yeah.
There's zero policy from the Republicans, like you say, on the border, on how to solve the war in Ukraine, on how to solve the Middle East situation. And that's what makes me so mad, again, is that the Jill Stein voters, again, you can't point, I'm not to point blame per se, but they were not asking that of Trump. They weren't asking that of Kennedy or Musk. What is your policy
The
on
mainstream
Palestine?
media failed us so epically
I
and
agree.
finally. I mean, you said that you retweeted Tim Snyder, who said a vaccine ban will kill and disable millions of Americans and collapse the economy. It is stunning that actual Americans on the edge of power would consider this idea, let alone advocate it. I mean, and here is this lunatic that I was saying, Carlos, the only thing he ever cared about was the environment. He was an environmental lawyer. I went to events for him out here. And the people that have just given up any principle they ever had for power is just...
I kind of feel with I think I said the shunning of Elon Musk was potentially dangerous at the EV summit when Biden got elected, but he's a sociopath. You know, he was bound to change anyways, and that can't be the only reason. But money is an evil thing, and as I tweeted, there was no deity that was going to win the Democratic ticket because religion and spirituality and being a good person has never stopped avarice and greed. And now Citizens United has made it more fundable. Right.
Let me tell you how much it sucks to be a woman this morning. You retweeted.
Yeah, it's hard. I have daughters.
I know. You live on Vagina Island.
Yeah.
But you retweeted Corey Forrester, who said both sides suck. Sure, I hear you. But if we have to decide, if we decide to have another kid, I don't want my wife to die in childbirth like a pilgrim. So I voted Democratic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I thought we had more male allies. You know, that don't want their wives and daughters and sisters to bleed out.
We thought we had more female white allies too.
Thank you. Yes.
You know, again, and that's, to me, this is the scourge of religion because I think it starts there. Because once you accept the premise that God is a man and the Messiah is a man, you've already bought into the fact that women are second tier, and that's what we got to get rid of. That's why we don't talk about it in our house. You go find your own path. We're not going to throw any books at you. If you discover something spiritually on your own, that's fine. But I'm not going to fill you up with that male-dominated mythology.
Let's a lot of people with lots of stuff in their craw, Carlos. Let's share the stage. Richard in Arizona, real quick. Hey, Richard.
Hey, I've been waiting all night to hear your guys' voice. Group hug, Chris.
You too, honey.
You guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You know what? This whole thing, the blame is totally on Merrick Garland. He's the most derelict of most derelict.
Not totally,
in the history
but
of
I will apportion a share of the blame. I agree. And there are other factors. He wasn't the only reason why we are where we are. But Richard, you're absolutely right. It is one of the reasons. And Mitch McConnell could have stopped
him
this.
acting. We wouldn't even be here if he acted and did what needed to be done. But we will get through this. Your guests have been spot on. You guys, we're in this together.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, again, before Merrick Garland ever entered the picture, because Trump is always going to delay those trials anyways, right? They were going to find a way to get out of them. It's Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. After January 6th, after any sane person would have said, this guy cannot run again. He's impeached and convicted, and it's over.
Yeah.
But they're to blame. Republicans are to blame. Republican cowardice is to blame.
And by the way, we're not whiny little bitches like they are. Nobody is on our side screaming, let's do a coup and attack the Capitol, and it was rigged and it was stolen, and that's
there are some questions about. Wait a minute, I thought Gen Z. I thought this was a record turnout. How can we 20 million votes less than last time? It's kind of weird, but yeah, she's going to offer a concession speech. And I wanted to ask you guys: do you think she'll show up at the inauguration? I don't think she should.
I think she will. I think she will.
Probably will.
I think she will.
Because she's a decent person that believes in a peaceful transfer of power. All right, 20 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show brought to you by... Hi, Rude.
You know what would be awesome?
Yeah. What?
Is after what Trump said yesterday about elections needing to be just one day, if it was over by 11 p.m.
Yeah.
As soon as the polls close in California, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, first of all, let me point out I was already in my pants, and then your piece that you wrote made my pants all over again. This is
good.
Seriously,
It's
the
really
most
my
terrifying
purpose.
piece you've ever written. Donald Trump will want to kill us if he's elected, and he can do it. You went very dark.
I know.
But it's true. If you want to have the bejesus scared out of you, read Pundit's piece. But there is no. I mean, someone else. it's not, as you said, there is no hyperbole too hyperbolic for this moment. Dr. Jack Brown tweeted, "We all need to be in this fight. We're balancing on a knife's edge in a very real sense. It's August 1939, and we're in Germany. Our actions and inactions will decide the fate of millions. We must not sit on the sidelines and say in polite voices, 'I don't get involved in politics.'" Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and all those people that are saying, "Well, he's not Hitler, and it's like Hitler didn't start with the Holocaust. There was a whole lot of stuff before that got him to that point.
He had a practice run, went to jail, got out, right,
and was elected.
Yeah,
and it just is. The possibilities are endless for what he can do, how he can F us again and again and again because of the Supreme Court decision and because that we have a GOP that will roll over for him every single time.
That's what's terrifying. And there's a piece out today about how it's easier this time for Russia to interfere, which they are actively doing because we have so many willing traitors here on the right. It's because they're taking ridiculous lies that Russia tried, and then they're re-amplifying them to their millions of followers. The Haitians eating pets, and what's the fake Russia video of Dominicans?
The Haitians.
The Haitians saying they're voting 11 billion times or blah blah blah. All this stuff that's just complete nonsense.
Yeah, that the FBI had to put out something about it, and I'm sure they don't trust the FBI on this. No. I think one of the things that's happened is that the MAGA hordes have evolved from they're not interfering to we don't care if they're interfering if it means that Trump wins.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they don't care how Trump wins as long as Trump wins because he has so terrified them. And so I just wanted to terrify us a little.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. My stomach needed that. You said, you tweeted, "The plan is to make people suffer so they'll willingly allow moron Trump and freak Elon to rule their lives while weirdo Vance sit in the corner." It's hard to remember this election cycle that people were actually walking around with what they said were little cups of J.D. Vance, his man batter. That actually happened. That's a thing that happened.
I mean, think about this. Think about what these idiots did. They walked around with things like that. They wore diapers when people were pointing out that Trump was probably wearing a diaper. They put Kotex pads on their ears, and now they're walking around with garbage bags. What the F is wrong with you? Have you no self-respect at all?
And by the way, like that ridiculous McDonald's stunt, can I just say, have you seen the picture has come out of Kamala Harris in the uniform back when she was in? It's like you don't see that anywhere in the mainstream media. That
I think that there's a question of whether or not that's real.
I'm not sure that's real.
Okay.
There is some question.
All right. You remind us, who never has to say I'm not a Nazi? People who don't do Nazi. There's that. Yeah. He's already preemptively blaming the Jews for losing.
Yeah. Well, we're used to it. At this point. And everything he says at the rally, all the dark stuff. I mean, the way that he is preemptively, saying that the election has already been stolen before election day. And it's teeing it all up. I mean, he's already declared himself the winner. Yeah. He has declared himself the winner.
He's already done it. Yeah. And watch him. The SNL bit was funny because he's exhausted. We are in that Love Songs on the Coast bit.
Are we? Oh.
Yeah. Your friends are calling you. How are you doing? Ah. 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 Okay.
Just a tip for you dads with daughters, do not let your daughters go on spring break for the next 4 years.
I'm telling you, by the way, Carlos, that's the other thing we're saying, is just make this all make sense. The places that voted for abortion rights and also voted for Trump and a Republican senator that will pass a national abortion ban. They voted for the rapists that took their abortion rights away in the first place. Make it make sense.
I don't know how to make it make sense.
So 7 abortion rights ballots passed in 7 states, fail in 3 others. The ones where it just didn't hit 60, it almost hit 60s. That's still a majority of, you know. So, oh my God. Anyway, can I just say yesterday, him saying his speech going, now we can begin to heal the country. Really? He just ran the nastiest, angriest campaign ever, name-calling right up to the end. And now that, you know, seriously, suck my...
Oh.
And J.D. Vance, I love this. He said, I just love them now trying to act like they did not just run the nastiest, most name-calling, most misogynistic, racist campaign in our history. He said, you know, J.D. Vance said, you know, my most important message, we ought to argue, disagree, and persuade each other about politics. Oh, really? Is that what insulting childless cat ladies and calling Kamala Harris garbage is?
Yeah, it's the classic...
He said that's part of the natural process, but you can't discard friends. We can't discard family members. I think if we just recognize this basic principle, we ought to love people. We ought to be friends with people. We ought to be family members with people, regardless of their politics. That would do a lot to heal the division. Oh, you.
Yeah. As I tweeted last night, that's the classic. I'm sorry I hit you, honey.
Yeah.
Come back inside.
Yeah, it was your fault. But, you know, he said, I know myself. I've had a lot of friends who've cast their friendship aside because I decided I wanted Donald J. Trump to be the winner in the last election and this election. I think that's a tragedy. But I'm not going to follow that example. Are you kidding? From your high horse, J.D. Vance? You're the biggest name caller next to Trump in this entire election. He said, we ought to be kind to one another. We ought to treat each other with respect. Oh, except for Kamala Harris, who's garbage, and childless cat ladies who are...
Yeah.
Okay.
Enemy within.
Sorry.
All that sort of thing. Yeah, that Madison Square... That sounds like he made that speech at the Madison Square Garden event, right? Yeah.
Let's get one more craw emptied. Michael in Florida. Hi, Mike. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. 20 seconds.
Yes. Well, you know, at least we'll have cheaper gas prices. You won't be able to kill babies anymore.
Oh, that's cute. All right. Thanks for calling.
Actually, they will. There's rich women probably having an abortion this morning.
Yes, because we want a vaccine, so we'll probably have another pandemic, then we'll all be stuck in our house wiping our asses with coffee filters again, so gas will be a penny.
You won't be able to kill babies unless you have a firearm that can kill babies.
Oh. All right. I should have known a maggot or two was going to slip through. That's part of the healing they're hoping for. Yeah, that's part of the healing and the being kind to each other that they talk so much about. What? 29 minutes after the hour, coffee with...
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn in the past few hours.
Politicians under attack for opposing Venezuela's president. Dozens of his supporters breached the grounds of the National Assembly on Wednesday.
The peaceful transfer of power, the cornerstone of storm the Congress, where America's elected leaders had gathered to certify the election victory of Joe Biden.
Lawmakers and journalists tried to get to safety inside the building, but some of the attackers also got in before the door could be closed.
They were literally banging on the doors of Congress. And then some Trump supporters managed to get inside. They were armed and wandering the Capitol building.
Unleashing chaos. And made their way inside the chamber, where they chased and beat lawmakers and journalists at the end of a special session marking the country's Independence Day. At least 5 opposition deputies were injured, some bleeding from the head, stumbling around the assembly corridors.
These pictures show being shot inside the Capitol building. A stretcher was sent in. She was later given CPR. One of them, Americo de Gracia, had to be taken on a stretcher to an ambulance suffering from convulsions.
Once again, paramilitary groups with ties to the government broke into the Legislative Palace. 4 lawmakers were injured with cut heads, broken bones. 2 employees of the Parliament television network suffered head injuries. Firearms were brought in by civilians under the complacent watch of security services.
A protester breached the inner sanctum of the chamber. The Vice President had to be removed to safety by his Secret Service detail. And then the joint session was adjourned. Earlier, the Republican Senate leader, for so long a loyal lieutenant of the president, turned on him with this withering assessment.
This election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral.
President Nicolás Maduro, who was overseeing the traditional Independence military parade, condemned the violence and called for an investigation, but also planted doubts about who might be behind the attack.
I have been informed that during this important, brilliant, beautiful civil military event celebrating total independence, there have been some strange occurrences. They're always strange when the opposition is involved.
In a rally outside the White House, Donald Trump encouraged his loyal base to fight to overturn the result of this bitterly contested election.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
Yes, the injuries hurt us, but not as much as the pain we feel each time we see our country falling apart when they kill our youth. We will continue forward, don't have the slightest doubt.
Of his supporters needing little encouragement to join the fight.
We're here to support, if violence happens, like it happens, but we're not going to start it. We're just here to defend ourselves.
With blood.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm a Mexican immigrant. I support Trump. Freedom is paid for with blood, and tyranny always masquerades itself as safety and security, and that's what we're fighting against right now.
Johnson, please, God, let us take at least the House. We will. I think last I saw, we were. There's a lot of House races out, particularly here in California, Carlos. So I
California.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans are at 203. Last I saw, we're at 178, but there's a ton of races still out, and yeah. Oh God, please let us not be subjected to Mike Johnson. On top of everything else, we were just saying, Carlos, there's no shortage of cowards in this whole how we got here. Chris and I were talking yesterday about Dr. Phil, noted doctor of bullology.
Yep. Yeah,
as Jim Ward used to say. He appeared to endorse Trump at a campaign rally in New York last month, but has now revealed he did so in an act of rebellion against Kamala Harris. He said, I requested 25 plus times to speak to Kamala Harris. I offered to give the identical speech at a Harris rally. Oh, meaning he has no core principles or values of any kind.
Not at all.
Like Bobby Kennedy.
Yep.
Bobby Kennedy tried to suck up to Kamala Harris, and then when she wouldn't meet with him, good for her. I mean, it's just these people will do anything for proximity to power.
Yeah, the old philosophical axiom, if you shun me, I will support your enemy.
I mean, and so he said I'm not here to endorse Donald Trump. He doesn't like a lot of what he says or does, and then he wouldn't even say who he voted for. Right. What a coward, right? But, he's willing to, sell his whatever endorsement to the highest bidder. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, the problem with Dr. Phil, billionaires, people all over the country, is the demand that they need to get what they want, or they will protest and stomp their feet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard to please. That's hard to overcome when one side is just blindly loyal because he's saying, whatever you're afraid of, Chris and I were talking about this, the economy, I will fix it for you. Okay, we don't care what you do. You said you'd fix it for us.
Yeah,
There's
timeshare
just blind
salesman.
loyalty on the other side.
It is amazing that so many fellow Americans are such rubes. So many rubes. I mean, seriously. This guy didn't keep one promise from the last time except tax cuts for the rich. I mean, that's it.
Rubes. So many rubes.
So many rubes.
Please, no rubes.
By the way, have we remembered to thank Oprah Winfrey for Dr. Phil?
And Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
The two of them.
By the way, Trump was whining right up till yesterday about the election was being stolen, it was rigged, blah, blah, blah. He said he was bashing Fox News and Oprah. Fox News should be ashamed of itself for airing footage of Oprah Winfrey at a Kamala Harris rally. Oh, my God. He said, I think Oprah has become a major divider in our country. I think, frankly, she should be ashamed of herself. I swear, the gaslighting is whatever's above 11. It's been turned up to like, wait, what?
Cut to her show. You don't get a book. You do. You don't get a book. You do. You don't get a book. You do.
God.
You're being flippant again, Stephanie.
Oh, is that what someone said? I'm being flippant.
You're being flippant.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surviving.
You're not
That's
taking
what
this seriously.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to survive this morning. Gary in Colorado, you're on with Carlos. Hello, Gary.
Oh, hey, Stephanie. Love your show.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
First things first, Stephanie, I would like to propose.
No.
But I can't. Number one, I'm too old for you, Steph.
Okay.
Number two, you're already taken.
By?
And three, you're gay. You're gay.
Yeah. Who am I taken by?
Tell
your dog.
Tell me, Steph. What am I going to do here?
I don't know. It's a bad day for America and for us.
Man, he sounds more like Sam Elliott than Sam Elliott.
He does. Damn.
Tell me, Steph, what am I going to do here? I got a Coors Banquet beer waiting for you. That's the best I could find.
I don't know who I'm taken by. I don't know who I'm taken up by, but
Bonnie.
Jody's not here to go. Well, at least I have a husband.
Yeah.
No.
I'm totally going to die alone, beaten by my dogs, on top of everything else.
Stephanie's taken by box wine.
Yeah. At least you'd provide nourishment for your dogs.
Keith, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show with Carlos. Hey, Keith.
Hey, what's happening? You left-wing hacks having a bad day this morning, or what's going on?
Why?
Okay.
Huh?
What's going on with you?
Yeah, because I thought you thought Kamala was going to win. Trump's so horrible, but yet he beat her.
Yes, everybody thought Kamala was going to win.
What happened?
Oh,
what
shut
happened?
up, you.
Oh man, that guy does not sound like he lives upstairs.
Can you just know how many people were waiting to call this morning?
Wait, but that coincides with J.D. Vance's "Let's all get along and be peaceful."
Yeah, what happened? What happened to the unite?
How come that's not working?
I thought Trump said we're going to unite now because he's always been such a uniter, and we've always been at war with East Asia.
Can I?
So many maggots, so uniting this morning.
Can I give you? Don't go on social media today. Okay? Please don't. It's not good for you today. Not good.
Yeah, it's interesting because some of the takes are this is 15 million votes. This is what happens when you don't align yourself with the Palestinian movement. I'm like, that's assuming that all 15 million people supported your cause.
Yeah, and now you have caused what will probably be the complete genocide of the Palestinian people.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can certainly
if you don't
understand
think he's going to let
Giuliani, that wasn't good strategy.
Giuliani go ape dump on Gaza now, then you haven't been paying attention. Oh my God, our enemies are celebrating this morning. Are you kidding me, Putin?
Netanyahu was the first one to call him.
Yeah.
One of the first guys to call him, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the reason she lost. You can, and again, she was caught between a rock and a hard place. You're not going to be able to please both the Palestinian voters and Jewish voters in the same election.
Yeah, and
it's just not possible.
Didn't have to jump through any hoops. Didn't have to do
And he
any
pleased them
appearances.
both 'cause
Didn't
he
have to
didn't say
debate
anything.
again. Didn't have to do right. Nothing. I mean, it didn't get asked. Hey, by the way, what good things did Hitler do? I mean, it's just just
never answered
epic
the question.
fail.
Why'd you kill the? He never answered the question in the first debate. Why did you kill the border bill?
Yeah.
Never had to answer it.
I know.
Never had to answer really for anything. All he had to say was like, "They're coming to get you, cats and dogs. I'll make it better. It's bad. I can save you." That's all he had to say. So yeah, it's not the campaign Harris ran. It's not the candidate. It's the culture that we're in. It's the billionaires. It's the money. It's the male toxicity. and again, you could point to Latinos, you could point to black, but white men and white women by huge numbers supported Trump. So a lot of this has to do with the misogyny you talked about with white men and white women. But it's getting hard.
I was reading a tweet about someone said, I know a lot of men hate women, but I didn't know some women hate women. And I'm like, oh, yeah. A lot of women can tell you that. We got some work to do on the sisterhood,
The reason I don't think about it's Kamala's campaign that was the difference is, like, you look at the race between Colin Allred and Ted Cruz. Clearly, Colin Allred is an ex-military guy,
right?
Former football player, all male, all macho. So that had nothing to him being female had nothing to do with him losing.
Yeah.
This was all about the Republicans have money and will stop anybody that we put in front of them.
Yeah. And he didn't cook bacon on his gun like Ted Cruz did.
Bacon.
God.
He's clearly better than Raphael.
Ken in Colorado. Hey, Ken, welcome.
Oh, hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Good. Hi, Carlos. Hey, this is a serious question. I know you guys, the Dems, we're not going to scream and kick and whine because we lost, but do the Democrats have a legitimate reason to challenge the results or sue because of the blatant Republican voter suppression that has been going on? I mean, there's got to be, I'm hoping, a legal backdoor or something. I mean,
unfortunately,
I'm not sure that there was.
I think on our side, it's hard to spin.
Right.
Yesterday,
that's kind of hard to prove.
Yeah.
I obviously in 2016, I thought, that absolutely was blatant election interference, and Russia's still interfering. Don't make no mistake. I mean, a lot of it, Carlos, as I said, are we have so many willing traitors here now. Russia barely has to do anything. They put out the disinformation about Haitians voting multiple times and them burning Trump ballots in Pennsylvania and AI videos and but like for instance, a co-founder of the pro-Trump website, The Federalist, claimed if Trump didn't win the White House, it's proof the entire electoral process is a manufactured facade.
Yeah.
He said a Trump loss would mean the election is rigged and democracy is truly over. That's how they convinced their half that democracy was at stake, because they convinced them that we cheat and that we're the ones. I mean, it is extraordinary, the gaslighting. Things he has previously called rigged are the Harris-Trump debate, Trump's New York City hush trial, the entire COVID pandemic. He demanded a list of prominent Democrats for Trump to imprison. In September, his site called for criminally charging the moderators of the Harris-Trump debate. I mean, that's the other thing, Carlos. We have such a, not just gullible bunch of rubes, but just that this disinformation bubble is so huge, just that puts out constant lies and conspiracy theories. And and I was saying, we laugh at it, these interviews with these MAGA people at rallies. But it is terrifying that they believe all that. They believe whatever he says.
Yeah, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he'd still get elected, Again, that's hard to compete with, People, even my nephew is like so confused and flummoxed. We didn't run on progressive policies and 15 million people vote. I don't think that had anything to do with what policies were. I think they just got scared. And again, I ask anybody, who do you suggest who can win in 2028? Who do you suggest could have won in this race? And I submit that's a pretty difficult answer. I don't think there's any candidate we could have run out there with the perfect progressive policy
they interviewed
that could have
defeated
this.
A woman with 2 kids, I can't remember what state, and she said, "Why did you vote for Trump?" She said, "Well, he's just like me."
Mm-hmm.
Those of us were like, "What? In what universe is Trump like anyone? Is like any of the but he somehow has fleeced the rubes to this degree, right?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the media, it's the spin doctors of The Apprentice that made him look like a successful businessman going back. Roy Cohn, his fixer or whatever, way back when, before the other Cohen. But yeah, it's all media, it's all projection, the whole assassination attempt and falling down and fight with the flag in the background, all these orchestrated things, selling patriotism and aligning patriotism with being pro-Trump, where the Democrats, you're anti-patriotic, you're anti-Jewish, you're anti-this. The smear campaign by them, and again, Netanyahu and Putin, insidious but kind of a subtly brilliant plan to go, we will help you get elected. I will invade Ukraine. I will keep this war going. I will not have a ceasefire. Don't worry, buddy. We got your back.
You're right. 2016 was so obvious between Russia and WikiLeaks and, then James Comey, and Hillary won by 3 million votes. And so, of course, but, to this caller's point, unfortunately, you're right. They perfected everything. And to the degree that this was so overwhelming, how are you going to challenge this? Right. He even won the popular vote this time, so it's unfortunately it's too late. Like the mainstream media failed us. We, this disinformation bubble is huge. Like I said, Carlos, it is, by the way, not just me. It is more important than ever that you support progressive media. We got to rebuild and learn how to fight like they do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what do we? You can lie down and die. We can't all move to another country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe there is something in the fact that although I would argue against that, progressive policies probably wouldn't have been the winning ticket. But maybe if these people think that they're right and there's some truth to that, maybe the Democrats just run as progressively as they can because this didn't work.
Yeah.
So you may as well say, get as progressive and far to the left as you can go now. Go for it.
Well,
you want to stop fracking.
Lawrence O'Donnell tried to say just historically it is suicidal to replace your candidate this late. And
yes,
he may have been right. I mean, she just didn't have a long enough runway. I think she ran a great campaign. But, Chris was saying, who knows? The mainstream media did such a thorough job of Biden's old, Biden's old, Biden's old. And then he had a provably bad debate. I don't know that he would have recovered to win.
No,
and they would have run against his economy. And, all prices are high because of Joe Biden. It's all bull. But... And
there would have been less enthusiasm for Biden than there was for Harris.
I know. So I don't know that the circular firing squad, but I said that, Carlos, at the time. I was not for pushing Biden out. And I said, I think the only way, knowing the racism and misogyny in this country, I said, I think he could run and win. And if he steps down at some point of his own choosing, that's how we get the first black lady president. And then I thought she would do a great job. And then we might have elected. But it is thoroughly depressing to be a woman this morning.
Yeah. It's just the Democrats are the only ones that have to be perfectly progressive and perfectly center right.
Yeah. Oh, she did everything in high heels backwards. Did a fantastic campaign and ran against the most horrible human in the world, convicted felon rapist. I mean, that is depressing,
Yeah.
48. Well, on that note, hi. Hi. For that person that thought I was too perky this morning.
Yeah, there you go.
And hates me for being perky.
There you go for being flippant, Stephanie.
I'm not being flippant. Ow. Okay, my eyeball. 48 minutes after the hour this morning. This is very exciting. I'm in a group called Women for Harris.
You are.
Which is filled with powerhouse political activists. Heather Thomas from the Fall Guys has become the powerhouse political activist out here in Hollywood. She joins us now. Heather, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you are everywhere. You are, by the way, you just told us about don'tgetpurged.org. Talk about that, because you're just doing so much great work out there.
Oh, well, that has a long history. In 2018, I did it for Stacey Abrams, and I had don'tgetpurged.org. It's a website. The voting websites never mention purging.
Yeah.
And their attitude, the common thought around the many round tables I'd joined with the demos and all these people was, don't mention purging to voters because it'll scare them away. I said, forget that. Get them back on the roll.
Yeah. No, we say it all the time, Heather, is check and recheck, because the Republicans are really trying to, purge people close to the election off these rolls. So you cannot check enough that you're registered, right?
Yeah. So I was doing it in 2018, and I had these billboards that told people all they had to do was simply re-register, and that's how you handle purging.
Yeah.
Until voter registration closed, obviously.
Yeah.
But Kemp got so mad at us. He kept chasing me, saying, I'm going to sue you for those billboards. But we had 3 million people through the website this year alone.
Well, you're making all the right people mad. So anyway, let's... By the way, Chris had to remind me, what's the name of the movie? what's his name? The famous actor guy is in. But you and Lee Majors made it an appearance at the end. It was hilarious.
The Fall Guy, the movie version of the Fall Guy.
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, you blink, you'll miss me. But I'm in after the post-credit, Marvel thing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And you wrote a great book, Trophies. Let's talk about the women's. Just based on your experience in Hollywood as a woman. I mean, they just don't know what's coming, do they? I mean, we keep saying Rovember is coming, but we're seeing it in the early numbers, aren't we?
They do not know how pissed we are. Because did you notice that the highest thing in Iowa, the highest demographic was women over 65?
Yeah.
It was massive. Because we remember. I had a cousin that threw herself down the stairs.
Oh, wow.
Remember all that stuff?
Yeah.
It was bad. And those women are angry. We marched. I remember in the 90s going, I can't believe I'm still marching about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, someone called it like mama bear energy or whatever you want to call it. But it just, if they could surgically insult more groups of people, including women, postmenopausal women, childless women, I mean, and then they're on to Puerto Ricans and Haitians. And it just, I have.
Get all the stops and they get the most exultant when they can do it, women of color.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Isn't it amazing that this white supremacist MAGA movement is going to produce the first female black president tomorrow? I am convinced of it. Are you feeling confident?
Yes. When they added the tech bros, they got extra offensive. Because if you listen to any of those Curtis Yarvin spews, it sounds like nouveau rich 13-year-olds, and they literally use the term underclasses.
Yeah.
Like these guys are so full, they're so big for their britches.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's further alienating women, and also they're low propensity voters, young guys. I mean, I hate to say it.
That was a bad place to hang your hat.
Yeah.
I remember the CW tried to make themselves the all dude network.
Yeah.
It was time in the 2000s. And that lasted about 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a failure.
Yeah. And they just keep making it worse. Trump saying, I'm going to protect women whether they like it or not. I mean, so rapey. And he is, in fact, a rapist. And then also insulting on top of that, going, they're going to be thinking about abortion. Like, seriously? Wrote hell to the no. Will not let you guys go out of business. New member here. Thank you for getting it.
Thank you.
There is such a huge right-wing disinformation, we are only here because of our listeners, and so thank you. Now more than ever, we got to pick ourselves up, and we got to find our heart and our humor. Yeah.
And fight.
Carlos Alzraki, one of the only men in the world, along with Chris Lavoie, that can make me laugh while I'm crying. That's going to be really important in the next 4 years.
You know what will make you feel better in this difficult political climate right now is more sport to sports.
No, thanks. Democrat Sarah McBride became the first openly transgender person elected to the U.S. House of Representatives.
There you go.
There are
See some good
slivers
stuff.
of light in different places. I just love that Rudy Giuliani showed up to vote in the Mercedes that he has been ordered to surrender.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
He can't get pardoned, can he? This is a state thing. Trump can't pardon him
It
for
is
this.
a state thing. I don't believe he can be pardoned.
He has yet to surrender any of the valuables because of the hubris they all have, right? They all think Daddy Trump's going to save them. He was ordered to turn over to Rue and Shea.
Yeah.
So lawyers were finally granted access to Giuliani's New York apartment, only to discover he had moved virtually all the contents
he
out,
did.
including sporting the sport, a signed Joe DiMaggio jersey, an autographed Reggie Jackson picture, and his Mercedes was owned by Lauren Bacall. Who knows if Bogey was in there?
Joltin' Joe.
That makes him
gave
an
something to
incompetent
Bolton Julie.
Two Republican mega donors, Dick and Liz, are the third largest donors in this year's presidential election. Sorry, not those two.
No.
Okay, sorry. Got excited.
Have sought information about employees at their company, who their employees were going to be voting for.
Really?
And they were asked to take part in what was called an anonymous survey. These people, they donated $80 million to Trump and the Republican Party.
Wow.
That is illegal. You can't ask your employees who they voted for. Here's the thing I want to say to everybody this morning. Do not be afraid. Do not let them make you afraid. I get it. We all woke up shocked, sad, afraid. I mean, I get it. Those are all emotions we're going to have to cycle through. But yes, Christopher.
What if you found out I voted for Trump?
Oh, well, you'd be fired immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God I kept that.
You're fired.
Killed. Stick the dogs on him.
Here's another silver lining. I can recycle all of my old Resistance T-shirts. Like this one. He is not my president.
There you go.
Because when he blows up the world economy, I won't be able to afford new T-shirts. I can just go get all my other ones.
Oh, those tariffs are going to work great.
Don't you have an F Trump one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have like 10.
Okay. All right.
Is there enough to get through these next 4 years? I'm telling you, everybody was wrong again.
Yeah.
I love this in The Atlantic. Journalist reports there's disgust about Trump within his own campaign. They were all saying the bottom's falling out and, he had a horrible finish and the polling wasn't looking good. And we're going to be reckoning with this for a while, Carlos, I think, just putting together. Because there isn't one factor here, obviously.
And I hope I'm wrong because my daughter Riley goes, well, at least he can only run one more time. And I'm going, maybe. We don't know.
Oh, yeah. He may...
Supreme Court.
Oh, that's a good note to end on. Okay.
Yay!
We love you, Carlos. That was rocking.
Love you back.
All right. Take care of yourself, everybody. We will see you tomorrow on The Stephanie Miller Show.